Give me one more rep. So you're either going to be on your mat or on your Bosu. Dome up. Walk it a bit. Catch. Find your breath. Forearms to the floor if you're on your Bosu. Otherwise, position your body into that Superman, Superwoman. Really lifting those legs up. Yes. Right here. Really engage. Lift and squeeze. Lift those legs up as high as you can. On every lift, exhale through the mouth. Solid minute. You got it. Come on. Focus on a slower pace with a greater range. Control as you lift. Control as you lower. You know that saying? You're gonna finish it off. I'm gonna start it. What is it, Al? If you don't squeeze it, oh yeah, nobody else will. Wrap up here, come on. Concentrating here, really engaging to that lower back and glutes. Less than 20 seconds. We're gonna finish off, and I like to call this your cardio, which means you're probably gonna pick one of the cardio moves that we did today for about 30 to 45 seconds. You're gonna hold it up, hold it up, hold it up, hold it up. Finish off strong, cool down stretch. Ready, ready? Carefully lower those legs to the earth. Make your way up. We got the jacks, we got the burpees, that shadow rope, foot tap. Finish off here. Let's go. Rock your best. Last 40 seconds. We did jog earlier. You could be right here as you finish off strong, right? Have fun with it here. This is it. Last 20 seconds. Pick it up, have some fun. Last few seconds. Here's 4, 3, last 2. March it out. Woo! Great work today, nice and tall. Inhale up, reach. Exhale, open up. Nice and tall, lengthen. Side tap and reach, you're here. Pulling it down. Side tap, bring those legs in. Side to side, you got it. Opening up those hips. Nice and tall, keep them wide, you're here. Sit into it. Open up. Good work today. Last one. Lean back, push those hips forward. Nice deep squat. Arms opening up here. Coming down as far as you can. Breathe. Into the nose, exhale nice and slow. Hands to the earth. Walk your hands back. Widen your leg stance. Shake that head no and yes. Sit onto one side, side lunge. Toes up, reach. You're gonna come down as far as you can. If you're not able to touch the floor, that's fine. Breathe in, exhale, other side. Reach. Calves. Nice and tall here. Walk the feet in. Bend those knees. Massage those legs as you roll up. Right or left leg back, it doesn't matter. sit into it. Back leg, heel to the floor, arms behind you. You're gonna open up. Excellent work today. Let me know in the comments section what you would like to see more or less of. If you enjoyed this BOSU workout, let me know. Switching sides, I'll bring it back in. Deep inhale. Round that back, palms face you. Pull away. Calves, back, shoulder stretch. So keep in mind, if you haven't done this before in a while, you might be sore. Do this again later this week, next week. Do this workout with a friend, nice and tall. Exhale to one side. Center, breathe and lengthen. Other side. Arms, legs, shake it out. Hands at the hips. Rotate, rotate, full range of motion. Big movement. Change directions. Oh yeah, reverse it here. Deep inhale up. Exhale, forward fold. Shake that head, no, yes. Hamstring stretch. Roll up, massage your legs one vertebrae at a time. Your head's the last to come up. Nice and tall, breathe and lengthen. You're gonna press that lower back. Push those hips forward. Hips, chest, ab, shoulder stretch. Excellent work. Nice and tall, deep inhale up. Exhale, give me one more. I look forward to seeing you all soon. Nice and tall. I am so grateful for you. As a friendly reminder, you rock.
Hello everyone, I'm Natalia Bilbao, and here's what's happening in LA this week. Mayor Eric Garcetti and Council President Nury Martinez were among the many city officials that jointly announced the finding of a study from the Los Angeles Department of Transportation. It's entitled Changing Lanes, a Gender Equity Transportation Study, and is the city's first effort to identify barriers and strategies to improve access to public transportation for women. The event posted quite a lineup. Check this out.
We can't see where our public transit falls short in meeting riders' needs if we don't understand what those needs are, which is why today is so important. You can't manage what you don't measure. Or said another way, if you're not looking for it, you won't see it.
That is why the Department of Transportation's Gender Equity and Transportation Study is so important. Because in the neighborhoods that I represent, walking to your destination is not always an option for you. They must rely on public transportation. We're the ones carrying the bags of groceries, riding with our children, and running errands, and that's just during the day.
If you have a 9-to-5 white-collar job, the system works for you. But it doesn't work for you if you have small children with you and bags to carry, and if you don't have the funds available to access all of the transit options that wealthier folks have.
What was really well documented in the Changing Lanes report, it is the BIPOC community, my community, that is most impacted and can benefit from transportation when it's done right.
better bus stops, better lighting, better times, better access, better routes. For me, for the community of Watts, for us mothers, it'll open up doors for us and our children.
LA DOT's Changing Lanes study puts women at the very forefront. We have to make these kinds of investments if we hope to build infrastructure that is truly equitable and gender-free. As the new chair of the Metro Board of Directors, my top priority this year is to make Metro better.
It's our responsibility to do better, to take care of everyone, particularly our most vulnerable populations.
Councilmember Marquise Harris Dawson helped open a new supportive housing project in Council District 8. The council member announced his partnership with the organizations Flyaway Homes and the People Concerned more than a year ago. And the fruits of that collaboration are now ready for residents.
Today we're at Flyaway Homes. We're opening up over a dozen new units right here on 82nd and Hoover in the community. This is a place that used to house a single-family residence, and now we can move multiple families into this space and get people off the street.
Each unit here is made up of 3 containers that have been converted into a unit. So they're standard shipping containers, single-use or non-use containers that have been converted here. Our future projects will be a combination of wood and or steel modules, which will be custom built in the factory.
Every individual tenant here will have a lease. These are 2-bedroom, 1-bath apartments. And so every family who lives here, this will be a permanent home for them.
Entonces los servicios que conectamos a personas, a diferentes médicos, también conectamos a las personas a diferentes oportunidades dentro de la comunidad para que se sientan más cómodos.
I became homeless probably 4 years ago. Circumstances, you know, anywhere from losing a job to relate my relationship. What this place means to me just tells people that you have hope, you know.
There are hundreds, even thousands of people working hard every day, from the folks who go out to encampments every morning to try to get people into housing as housing is available, to the folks here at Flyaway Homes or who are plugging away, who got this done during the pandemic. And so I think Angelenos ought to know that their neighbors are out there pushing as hard as they can to end the crisis that we have with homelessness in our city.
The Los Angeles Convention Center is celebrating its 50th anniversary this year, and in recognition of this cherished LA landmark's birthday, Mayor Eric Garcetti dropped by for a tour of the event currently gracing its hallowed halls, the 2021 LA Art Show.
Welcome to the 50th anniversary celebration of the Los Angeles Convention Center.
We're celebrating the 50th anniversary of the Los Angeles Convention Center. And the second thing is we're celebrating the opening of our first large-scale event, the LA Art Show.
The fact that this building has been here for 50 years is a real testament to the department, the great folks that put on events and conventions for the past 50 years, and we thought it was important to celebrate that.
Me encantaba trabajar aquí, por eso quedé aquí por muchos años. Era como una familia.
The convention center really serves as the economic driver for the downtown and even spills out over past downtown, because what we do is we bring in visitors from out of town who come here and they spend dollars here in the city. So they come, they spend their money, and they go home.
In fact, in 2019, this industry generated $23.6 billion in business sales here in Los Angeles and supported over 100,000 jobs. That's what this building has helped create.
We're excited to have the art show back. It's a beautiful event. Their exhibitors are excited to show their art, and we're happy to have them here. It's contemporary art and very exciting. They've got some cutting-edge things that they're showcasing in their shows. And the mayor's going to be here.
See, this convention center and I both celebrated 50th birthdays this year. 1971, when I think about how this city has changed since I was born here, this center laid the groundwork for jobs and careers and families and stories, the way that that's changed our city and changed our world. Thank you all so much, and let's celebrate the next 5 decades.
A small pocket of Chinatown just got a little more charming. Councilmember Gil Cedillo and LA City engineer Gary Lee Moore helped cut the ribbon at the Ord and Yale Park expansion, one of LA's newest city pocket parks.
Welcome to the new opening of the Ord and Yale Street Park. Almost 40,000 square feet. So we hope you all enjoy this new park for Los Angeles.
While it might be small for some in size, it is very big in character and in heart.
Tengo mucho orgullo que estoy aquí mañana. Es un proyecto, trabajan 10 años. Es un proyecto de muy personal para mí y también por mi distrito. Here, a few feet away from here, 150 years ago, Chinese men were lynched here in Los Angeles. And so we think it's important that people's history is remembered, but that we look forward with determination and optimism, and that we build community and we respect other people's communities and embrace that diversity as a strength and an asset of this city and of this district.
Through the years, this community has not only felt the pain of discrimination and exclusion, but the pride of perseverance and success.
It is so challenging to find the funding for all these projects that we want to do. It's about partnerships. The city, the county, the state, all working together.
So it's incredible to see so many young people here, so many children of this community now have a place where they can come play.
Since the beginning of the pandemic, St. John's Well Child and Family Center has been at the forefront of bringing medical services to lower-income communities. And recently, the organization held a community vaccination event to highlight a new campaign aiming to encourage South LA residents to receive the COVID-19 vaccine. Here's that story.
There's a lot of concern about the Delta variant and the increased numbers we're seeing of infections. 84% of cases right now are Delta variant. It's twice as contagious as the previous dominant strain, which was the Alpha variant. So with the Alpha variant, if you caught COVID, you could infect 3 to 4 people. With the Delta variant, if you catch COVID, you could infect 8 to 9 people. So it's literally twice as contagious as the previous variant. A lot of the cases that are happening are actually people that are not vaccinated, that are ending up in the hospital. And so our hope is that people will start taking it serious. We've been walking this neighborhood for the last 2.5 weeks. We engaged 31 businesses. We also had a team of outreach workers that has been going out since early this week.
Pues los invito a que vengan, ya que no es muy complicado a la hora de no tener algún documento, y pues les recomiendo de que puedan venir a esta instalación para ponerse la inyección, que es muy importante para todos nosotros.
We're urging people that can get vaccinated to get vaccinated, and people that cannot get vaccinated to continue wearing a mask to avoid contagion. They could call our hotline, 877-612-8299, and schedule an appointment at any of our clinics. We have 18 brick and mortar clinics that are actually administering vaccines. Hopefully people will get vaccinated.
City leaders pushed vaccinations to combat the Delta variant. New bus shelters are being displayed throughout Los Angeles, and Mayor Garcetti signs a new ordinance restricting homeless encampments. These stories up next on City Beat.
In an effort to stop the spread of the COVID-19 Delta variant, Mayor Eric Garcetti and Council President Nury Martinez held a special press conference urging Angelenos to get vaccinated. The number of COVID cases in July rose sharply, and hospitalizations were the highest they've been since February of this year. The Delta variant is now the dominant strain of COVID in Los Angeles and spreads approximately twice as easily as the original virus. To get more information on vaccinations, you can visit coronavirus.lacity.org. The Los Angeles Bureau of Street Services, also known as Streets LA, offer the general public an opportunity to experience and give feedback on the proposed new bus shelters. Demonstrations were made available to Angelenos in 6 different regions of Los Angeles. The demonstrations come in conjunction with preparations to implement a new and updated sidewalk and transit amenities program, currently known as STAP, to provide shelter, shade, safety, and comfort to transit riders and pedestrians while incorporating smart technology to provide timely information to travelers. To find out more about STAP, visit streetsla.lacity.org. Mayor Eric Garcetti signed a sweeping ordinance to restrict homeless encampments. The mayor approved the ordinance one day after the city council voted 13-2 to pass the new law. This action modifies the city's current anti-camping law to prohibit sitting, sleeping, lying, storing personal property, or otherwise obstructing the public right-of-way in several areas of the city. The new law will also protect right-of-way within 500 feet of areas deemed as sensitive facilities, schools, daycare facilities, parks, and libraries. The ordinance will go into effect August 28th.
When it comes to workplace violence, there are many factors that can be the trigger. Stress, fractions between coworkers that escalate, or disgruntled customers, to name a few. But most experts agree that companies that recognize the potential for workplace violence are the ones best positioned to prevent it. Maria Hallbrown sits down with medical experts Dr. Laura Kokinda and Dr. Maura Kane to discuss workplace violence and what you should do when you see warning signs.
Well, OSHA has reported that workplace violence incidents have actually tripled in the last decade. What does that mean? What can we do, and what should we be looking for? Well, I'm delighted to be joined by experts today that can help us with all of those questions. I think the most important thing to do, first off, is to define workplace violence. I mean, where that line is and what the different types are when you are feeling as if there's some threat within the workplace.
So it's a little bit of a complicated definition. When you look at it, generally the official definition is a threat or actually any sort of assaultive behavior, but also a series of behaviors can indicate workplace violence. So if you have obviously an assault or a threat of an assault or series of behaviors of inappropriate behavior or harassment, things like that, that constitutes the threat part, but it also has to have a nexus to the workplace.
What are some of the indicators? Somebody is constantly angry, somebody is always complaining, what are some of the things we should be looking for directly and indirectly?
All of those things can be indicators. I think one thing that I've noticed is if someone really stands out from the group, maybe they're complaining more, or maybe they're withdrawing quite a bit. That's another thing that could be concerning, or behavioral changes that are observable where someone's setting themselves apart. Maybe they're more isolative, maybe they're a little more erratic in their behavior.
Yeah, anytime there's a change in behavior, because all of us are different. So we have the people that are withdrawn by nature, or the people that are complainers by nature. But when you see a change in their behavior, so they're withdrawn and now they're loud and they're irritable. And so anytime there's a change in behavior, you want to ask why.
I think one of the best things for de-escalation is to just try to separate, take a time out. Time is really helpful.
Recompose yourself and walk away will do wonders.
The LA Education Recovery Fund, Los Angeles Unified, the LA Sports Council, and the Rams are just a few of the organizations that have banded together to bring some sports, fun, and excitement to LA kids. Channel 35 was on hand to get an up-close look at how outside sports can lead to health and opportunity for SoCal kids.
LA Unified decided for the first time ever to open up every single one of its Title I elementary and middle schools.
Students now have access to free summer programs in their neighborhoods. Through this groundbreaking partnership, our students not only receive a clinic and sports team appearances, but they also know through programs like this that we as a community are behind them 100%.
The academic recovery is crucial, full stop. But our kids have also been robbed of a year of their childhood, and that's just as important to compensate for, if not more.
People want to help right now. And the LA Education Recovery Fund said, we got to do it together. So we reached out to the school district, and LA Unified decided to run summer camps all over the city. And then we said, but we can do more. Let's bring awesome programming to our kids. And we talked to the LA Sports Council and said, can we get our teams to step up in a big way? And the Rams said yes, and the Dodgers said yes, and the Galaxy said yes, and the Chargers said yes, and the Kings said yes. And it just shows Angelinos coming together for our kids and helping our kids at this time where they need us to step up for them to get ready to thrive for the future.
So we're excited to host this clinic, to support our youth, to teach them some football skills. Our cheerleaders are going to teach them how to dance, and together we're all going to come together because we're better when we stand as one.
Thank you for enriching the lives of our students. We know that they are our future, and we see in them just the promise of what their languages, their histories, their trajectories have to offer for our city, and always do and always have. And so enriching their summer in this way, I think, really adds to their experiences.
Ahora estamos en una etapa de reentrar a un normal nuevo y necesitamos de proveer a los estudiantes muchas oportunidades que ellos puedan estar trabajando y colaborando con otros niños. Y lo que está pasando aquí con esta colaboración.
Me gusta estar y hablar con mis compañeros y estoy muy feliz cuando hablo con ellos. Ahorita estamos aprendiendo a jugar fútbol americano y muchas otras cosas que le encantan a los niños.
LAEducationRecoveryFund.org. Go there, find out how to get involved. Our kids need all of us to step up right now. It was a tough yesterday, but it's a bright tomorrow, and we can do big for them if we step up for them. And they always, always respond when we do step up for them.
Speaking of LA's kids, Councilmember Mark Ridley Thomas recently brought families of Leimert Park together for an open-air screening of Space Jam: A New Legacy. The event was also a chance for local small businesses to connect with and support the community at large.
Well, this is a continuing effort to activate and elevate the Leimert Park Plaza, family-friendly, and what better way to celebrate art and culture here in this community than to invite the community to participate in a screening of Space Jam 2. And so we activated this park on Juneteenth. And we continue to say that good things are happening, music, fun, art festival, all of that right here in the Leimert Park Village, and it's a good thing.
Events like this are important for the community, especially now because we have not had the opportunity to get together, to see our neighbors, to feel part of the community. The park has been closed for a while. There are a lot of new people who are in the neighborhood, in the business community, and this is an opportunity for us to see each other, to get to know each other, to do something that's family-oriented and fun at a time where we need it, to celebrate the summer and to really just show what we have to offer as a community.
Right here in the Leimert Park Plaza, we have had vaccinations, and we will have more opportunities for that. If you aren't vaccinated, our message to you is to get your vaccine. Don't give away your shot. We don't want to cause others to be sick. Well over a couple of hundred people tonight, just enjoying the outdoors, and that's what community is. When we speak of community, we think of the arts, we think about culture, we think about all the small businesses and the vendors in this space, the merchants that are essentially trying to do what needs to be done to celebrate the community in a proper way.
Attention, pet owners. Summertime may be all fun and games for us humans, but it could also be a dangerous and unhealthy season for your animals. LA Animal Services dropped by the Channel 35 studio to offer some handy advice when it comes to helping your furry family members beat the summer heat. Take a look.
During the hot summer months, the best time to take your dog for a walk is in the morning when it's cool or at night after the sun's gone. If it's too hot outside, your dog's paws can get burned, they can get heat stroke. It's better just to wait until it's safer to take them outside. To tell if your pet has been dehydrated or is overheating, they will be breathing heavily, they'll be acting distressed, they may have trouble swallowing water. What you can do when your pet may be overheating or dehydrated is first try to give them some water. If they're unable to drink it, you can apply wet towels or ice packs wrapped in towels, back of their head, between their back legs, and after you've cooled them down a little bit, take them to the veterinarian immediately. Some of the biggest misconceptions about pets in the summer heat are that you can just leave them outside and they'll be fine, or that you can leave them in the car with the window cracked and they'll be okay. That's also not safe. The car can heat up drastically while they're in there, even with the window cracked. To learn more about different safety tips and different animal services that we provide, you can visit laanimalservices.com. Just use your best judgment, follow our safety tips, and if it's too hot for you, it's definitely too hot for them.
Mother Teresa was once quoted as saying, "The simple path, silence is prayer. Prayer is faith. Faith is love. Love is service. The fruit of service is peace." That small prayer is a fitting introduction to our feature story this week. Channel 35's Maria Hall-Brown has an intimate conversation with Los Angeles Police Chief Michael Moore, who shares the personal burdens and professional challenges of leading LA's 21st century police force.
Well, almost 9,500 sworn personnel, almost 3,000 civilian personnel, and the man at the helm for the last 3 years has been Chief Michael Moore. It's so nice to be in your office.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for being here, and it's a great opportunity.
What are some of the changes that have happened since you've been at the helm, and what are some of the things that you walked into and you realized these are good foundational things that we need to keep in place?
We're in good shape. I inherited a department that was reform-minded. It was referenced in the then President Obama's 21st century policing reforms, and the pillars that were there, showcased what LAPD was doing for building trust in communities, for community engagement, for being problem solvers, but recognizing that we have a shared responsibility for public safety, and that also on the enforcement, that it was smart, that it was focused, it was data informed. So that's what I inherited. So we set on a course of continued reform and continued work to lessen the instances of use of force, particularly deadly force, to improve our efforts of dealing with persons experiencing mental illness, to really be a part of the solution for persons experiencing homelessness, both for providing them services and support, but also improving the safety and the sense of safety of communities in which these homeless encampments and persons who are living in public places that they were wrestling with.
Can't be easy to be an officer.
It is. This is one of the most difficult periods of time. It's unfair. It's not right to hear people express hate and just tremendous anger, and to center it on individuals, to center it on a profession of service, deeply disturbing. So this is brand new ground, and we've seen the calls to our psychologists and our peer support, our clergy, go through the roof. And it sets the stage for who's coming to, how fertile is the ground for people to come to this profession. It signals that, this is not an automatic that people want to be cops, that they want to get into this turmoil and face a very turbulent existence, and to be criticized and to have their families criticized and to have their families face open ridicule in public places, in schools, and in churches, and in houses of worship, and other places. So with that, though, we've got to take a step back and take a deep breath and build with them that remind them of why they chose this profession. Remind them of why it matters. There are 4 million people in the city, and they depend on this department. We're an organization committed to the people of the city, and we're going to show them why this is the greatest department in American policing. Thank you for this opportunity.
Well, thank you very much, Chief Moore.
Absolutely.
The LA Public Library brings the Mosquito SWAT Lab to kids of all ages. Enjoy the virtual experience of the 2021 Nisei Week Japanese Festival, or stream along with a great discussion as actress Jane Russell's legacy turns 100. All this and more up next on Things to Do.
The Granada Hills Branch Library would like to invite kids of all ages to the Mosquito SWAT Lab. Using problem-solving and scientific reasoning skills, students will explore the complexity of the mosquito anatomy, life, and disease transmission cycles. Through stimulating hands-on curriculum, students will dive into the amazing world of the most deadly animal on the planet. Don't miss a virtual mosquito program for all ages, happening Thursday, August 12th, beginning at 3 p.m. To participate, email grnhls@lapl.org for the program link. Join LA's vibrant Japanese community for the 2021 Nisei Week Japanese Festival. This year, the festival will be a virtual experience featuring a mix of live streaming and pre-recorded segments. This year's theme is Ibasho, which is a Japanese word that means a place to belong. Join online for the announcement of the Nisei Week Queen and Court, as well as live performances and oban dancing. Check out the Nisei Week virtual experience Saturday, August 14th at 3 p.m. For more information, visit niseiweek.org. The LA Made Cultural Series for the Los Angeles Public Library brings you the Jane Russell 100-Year Centennial. Join Christina Rice, Senior Librarian of the LAPL Photo Collection, for a discussion on her newly published biography on Jane Russell entitled Mean, Moody, Magnificent, Jane Russell and the Marketing of a Hollywood Legend. LA Made's Jane Russell 100-Year Centennial premieres Thursday, August 12th, beginning at 4 p.m. For more information, visit lapl.org/events. And that's a look at some virtual things to do.
And that's it for this edition. I am Natalia Bilbao, and from all of us here at LA This Week, thank you so much for joining us. A reminder that you can catch us online at lacityview.org, and we're also on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. See you next time for more LA This Week.
Good morning and welcome to the Los Angeles City Council. Today is August 10th and Nuri Martinez, the President of the City Council. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Blumenfield. Bonin.
Bonin present.
Buscaino.
Morning here.
Cedillo. Absent. De Leon.
Here.
Harris Dawson.
Present.
Koretz.
Present.
Krikorian.
Here.
Lee. Absent. Martinez. O'Farrell.
Present.
Price. Rahman. Absent. Ridley Thomas. Rodriguez.
Here.
12 members present and a quorum, Madam President.
First order of business.
Approval of the August 6, 2021 minutes.
Mr. Buscaino moves and Mr. Blumenfield seconds. Next.
Commendatory resolutions for approval.
Mr. Bonin moves and Ms. Rodriguez seconds. Next.
Madam President, today is Tuesday and it's time for the flag salute.
Mr. Blumenfield, will you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, sir?
I'd be honored to. If I could ask everyone to rise, place your right hand over your heart, face the flag if you have one in sight. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. What's that?
Okay, Madam Clerk, let's run through the agenda.
Madam President, would council like all items to go forthwith today?
Without objection, that will be the order.
Madam President, there is a request to hold item 12 on the desk.
Okay, without objection.
As well as item 30.
Okay, without objection, continue.
Items 1 through 11 are items noticed for public hearing. Items 12 and 13 are items for which public hearings have been held. Items 14 through 37 are items for which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes are required for consideration.
Okay, without objection, those items are now before us, members. Does anyone wish to call any of these items special? Mr. O'Farrell?
Thank you, Madam President. Items 11 and 13, please. 11, because I need to make an amendment. And then 13, because we're going to have a presentation.
So do you have an amending motion for item 11?
I do.
Do you want to go ahead and read that?
Yes, I would move to approve the application for public convenience and necessity for Zuniga's Market.
Mr. O'Farrell, is there a second?
Mr. Krikorian to second that. Mr. O'Farrell, do you have any other items, sir?
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, are there any other specials, members? Any other specials?
Madam President.
Mr. Krikorian?
I'd like to call item 37 special, please.
For comment, sir, or do you have an amending motion?
For debate.
Debate, thank you. Members, any other specials? And Mr. City Attorney, we have an amending motion on item number 12. Can you read that into the record?
Yes, it's presented by Councilmember De Leon, and it is to amend that the item be amended to adopt the recommendation below in lieu of recommendation 1 in the report. So what's being substituted in is 1, adopt the creation of at least 25,000 new housing resources by the year 2025, including but not limited to permanent supportive housing and Project Homekey, but that is inclusive of housing resources that would not qualify for the city's regional housing needs assessment goals as required by the state, including but not limited to scattered site housing, tiny homes, and safe parking as the city's homeless housing goal.
Yes, I second that amending motion for Mr. De Leon.
Thank you.
Mr. O'Farrell, do you have a substitute motion for 30?
Yes, thank you. So the substitute motion would be, I would like to call this item, let's see, sorry about that. Yeah, here's the substitute motion. I move that the $400 be transferred / appropriated from the council's portion of the Heritage Month celebrations and special events line item in the General City Purpose Fund, number 100-56, to the General Services Fund, number 100-40, account number 1070, for services in connection with the Council District 13 commemoration at recognition of the 1-year anniversary of the Beirut port explosion on August 4th, 2021 at City Hall, including the illumination of City Hall last week.
Do you have a second, sir? Second by Mr. Blumenfield.
Thank you.
Members, are there any other specials on today's agenda? Okay, seeing none, Madam Clerk, which are the available items for us to vote on?
We don't have any.
There are none.
Okay, let's go ahead and start public comment.
As indicated on the agenda, members of the public wishing to offer public comment should call area code 669-254-5252 and use meeting ID number 160-535-8466 and then press the pound key. Press pound again when prompted for participant ID. Once admitted into the meeting, press *9 to request to speak. When it is your turn to speak, an automated Zoom voice will ask you to press *6 to unmute. Let me repeat, call 669-254-5252 and use meeting ID number 160-535-8466 and then press pound. Press pound again when prompted for participant ID. Once admitted into the meeting, press *9 to request to speak. When it is your turn to speak, an automated Zoom voice will ask you to press *6 to unmute.
So, to members of the public calling in, when it's your turn to speak, please state which of the agenda items you'd like to speak on. You have 1 minute per item to speak, up to 3 minutes total, and if you wish, 1 minute for general public comment. Please speak to the items before beginning general public comment. We'll tell you when your time's up. When speaking on the agenda items, you must be on topic. Our goal is to get through as many speakers as we can. If you're not speaking on topic, or if we can't tell whether you're on topic, you'll get one brief warning from the other president. At that point, if you don't immediately get clearly on topic or again stray off topic, you'll be cut off and forfeit the rest of your speaking time and we'll move on to the next speaker. We'll take 30 minutes total public comment, and the items open for public comment are everything except item 13. You're free to talk about that in general public comment if you wish, of course. For members of the public calling in, just to remind everybody, we have a slightly new procedure than we did before the break. When it's your turn to speak, an automated Zoom voice will prompt you to press *6 to unmute yourself. If you don't do so, council staff will prompt you once more. At that point, if you don't unmute yourself when prompted by the staff, you'll forfeit the rest of your time and we'll move on to the next speaker. Finally, if you're also listening to council on channel 35 or another device, please turn down the volume on those other devices immediately. Because of possible feedback and a time delay between the live broadcast or live meeting and the broadcast, it will cause a great deal of confusion if you continue to listen on your other devices. Thank you very much, Madam President, and with that, we are ready to begin public comment.
Okay, let's go ahead and start public comment. First caller.
Please state your name and the items you wish to speak on.
Good morning, council members. Zachary Warma, Legislative Affairs Manager with the Downtown Women's Center, calling today to urge approval of item 12, Councilmember De Leon's 25 by 25 proposal to add 25,000 new units of homeless housing by 2025. This motion is important for a variety of respects. LA County faces a need today for an additional 500,000 units of affordable housing. To address systemic housing injustice, the twin crises of homelessness and affordability, and future growth, the city's draft housing element plan calls for the development of nearly 500,000 housing units in the next 8 years. Setting a goal of 25,000 new units by 2025 is a strong step toward reducing houselessness, and the potential CLA recommendations to overhaul financing and entitlement for supportive and affordable housing could lead to the faster and cheaper delivery of desperately needed units. Lastly, as you contemplate a citywide street engagement strategy, it is essential that outreach to unsheltered neighbors is paired with pathways to permanent housing, along with a right to housing. Otherwise, our efforts will not result in breaking the cycle of houselessness. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Speaker.
Please state your name and the items you wish to speak on.
My name is Len Moses. I would like to speak on all available items and general public comment, please.
Sure. So you have 3 minutes for all the items except 13, and then followed by a minute for general public comment. Please begin.
Thank you, Mr. Favell. Good morning to you.
Thank you.
Item number, well, first, apologize to Ms. Autry for your gross disrespect, Martinez. When you talk about women's rights, you make me want to vomit. All votes today, as every day, will be yes votes. This is how we got to 60,000 homeless people on the street. Kindergartners, you vote for mine, I'll vote for yours. Item number 12, 25,000 housing units. Yeah, sure, of course. What's wrong with that? We need more than that. We should have done, why not 25 million units? Regardless, the sleazy, corrupt city council will rip off the money like they did the HHH funds public. Total, complete rip-off. Nothing but rip-off. We have been scammed. The homeless have been used as money-making tools. That's all. Just money-making tools. Couldn't do anything with the money. They wrote in the rip-off into the bill. Nothing but ground-up units. Items 24 to 39, removing properties from REAP, rent control. It's a wonder any of these homeowners can remove any of their properties. We have a couple in CD10. The big pimp, Ridley Thomas, pimping the black community, pimping for 30 years. This corrupt council just gave him $284,000 for a new luxury office in the MTA building, but that's nothing compared to the millions the sleazy council has given to Dawson.
So we seem to have veered off the topic.
In the street. Pardon me?
We seem to have veered a bit off topic. Could you stay clearly on the items, please?
I'll try. You're no fun, Mr. Favell. You're no fun today, but I'll try to go a little closer. This rip-off artist wants to be her mayor. My God. Item 37. The caption that was interesting to me was what reads, rather than the requirement of allowing public comment via telephone
and
or
you can go on to
internet.
general if you wish, Speaker.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Koretz, we have to save the planet. I know you've heard the newest climate update. We're burning up, no water, and all these corrupt politicians can do is sit here with theater, stealing and ripping off the money from the people of the city of Los Angeles. Guess what? We have 60,000 homeless people on the street because of these people's policies. I'd like to adjourn in memory of the 3 to 8 that will die on the street today. Rahman, you need to get your name off of the motion of the Afiba Center, 5730 Crenshaw. You've been warned many times. Get your name off. The Black community will not be ripped off any further. The Black community has no representation with these Sambo Negroes.
Please state your name and the items you wish to speak on.
Good morning. This is Allison Hom with Communities for a Better Environment, speaking for general comment.
Sure, you have one minute.
Also
please begin. You have a minute.
Good morning. My name is Allison Hom with Communities for a Better Environment and a proud member of Stand LA. We urge this council to be bold and bring the motion to phase out oil drilling up for a vote in front of the full city council as soon as possible. While urging you to move quickly, we recognize that ensuring displaced workers are transitioned into good, high-road jobs and supported with the necessary training and wage replacement is critically important. Stand LA is already partnering with LA County and is eager to partner with the city as well on a just transition task force focused on creating high-road jobs in both capping and remediation of oil wells and the broader transition off of fossil fuels. The motion introduced last week by council members O'Farrell and Krikorian on a high-road hiring and workforce development plan related to the LA 100 plan is encouraging. Beyond that, we hope you review the California Climate Jobs Plan endorsed by 19 California unions, outlining a comprehensive package of investments to support transitioning workers and create 1 million jobs statewide through climate transition and infrastructure investments. The blueprint for a high-road equitable transition is there, and environmental justice communities are eager to work with you to make it a reality.
Thank you, Speaker.
Please state your name and the items you wish to speak on.
Good morning. My name is Lionel Maris. I'd like to speak on item 12 and item 37 and general public comment.
Sure.
Please,
so
Mr.
you have
Fauble.
2 minutes for the items, followed by a minute for general public comment. Please begin.
Thank you, Mr. Fauble. For item 12, I support more funding and for homelessness. I'm acquiring housing for unhoused community and for the working class people who are on the brink of becoming homeless or unhoused. So echoing the previous speaker who mentioned item 12 about supporting this item in support of acquiring housing or building more housing, affordable and permanent supportive housing. So yes, on anything that will support permanent supportive housing. And moving on to item 37, please.
Please go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Fauble. I support, I guess, Mr. Lee's AB bill for for the public to be able to make public comment or participate from a telephone or from a computer, because many people are disabled or cannot participate on site. And I think it is important to keep public comment or public engagement with their elected officials through the telephone or through any other device, because many of us are working, we're away, we cannot travel to City Hall, or many people are disabled, they're handicapped, so it's unfair for them not to be able to participate. So I want the City Council to please keep public comment participation remotely, please, because many of us are unable to go to City Hall. Sometimes we can, sometimes we can't not. So please support Mr. Lee's AB 339 regarding public meetings, please. And moving on to general public comment.
Yes, please go ahead, Speaker.
Yes, I'm wondering, when will the City Council or City Council President Nuri Martinez appoint a assistant president pro tempore, because I know Mr. Eric Previn mentioned this a couple of times in the past couple of months, and it's still vacant. So I'd like to see somebody appointed to that position. I don't know, someone like Miss Nathia Rahman or Mike Bonin or someone else. And I will also like to urge the city council to increase more funding for urban forestry, more tree canopy, and because there are many parts of city of LA and the valley that are lacking trees, and it creates an urban heat island effect and increases the temperatures. And I've been researching through cityplants.org and treepeople.org, and many of these communities are lacking bus shelters and tree canopy. We need to implant more shade trees and maintain them, please, to help combat climate change. Thank you very much, Mr. Babo.
Thank you, Speaker.
Please state your name and the items you wish to speak on.
Sean Murphy, Canoga Park.
Hi. Which items would you like to speak on?
Item 12 and 37 in general public comment.
Sure. So we'll give you 2 minutes for the items, followed by a minute for general. Please begin, Mr. Murphy.
Item 12 is the homeless situation. I'm for the homeless, building more houses for the homeless. Kevin Dionne's homeless deal, 2020 by 2025. I'll be 61 then. We need more homeless people. We need more housing for homeless people. Item 37. Nuri needs to cover her ears right now, because I am against calling city council all the time. I need to come, the people who are vaccinated need to come back to City Hall. I am trying to fucking call in this City Hall to give my testimony. General public comment.
Okay.
We need to get back to City Hall. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Murphy.
Please state your name and the items you wish to speak on.
Richard De La Viaga. I'd like to speak on item 12, item 37, and general public comment, please.
You have 2 minutes for the items, followed by 1 minute for general. Please begin, Speaker.
Very quickly on item 12, obviously the need is dire here. We need to construct as much permanent housing as possible, and so I am in full support of this item. Item 37, can I go ahead?
Yes, please go ahead.
Yes, obviously this is really needed as well for reasons some other callers have already mentioned. You know, there are mobility issues, there are access issues here, there are equity issues here. People need to be able to call in or use their internet service to give public comment. I think the council understands why that's important. And finally, I'd like to move on to general public comment if that's possible now.
Sure, please.
The city's Economic Development and Jobs Committee recently approved the resolution for Los Angeles to take the first steps to create a public bank. We thank city council members for their leadership and urge Council President Martinez to place the public bank motion on the full council agenda. Rather than routing federal or state aid directly to commercial banks, the public bank can house funds directly, immediately increasing its lending capacity and its ability to support its programs. A future bank, as a member of the Federal Reserve, would have access to the Fed's overnight lending window, which in the pandemic gave indefinite access to funds at no cost. This is much more effective and affordable in a crisis. And I think the council understands that we're going to be facing many more crises in the future, and so the time to act is now. Please, Council President Martinez, place the public bank motion on the full council agenda. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Speaker.
Next speaker.
Please state your name and the items you wish to speak on.
Hello, my name is Joseph Ruiz, and I would like to give a general public comment.
Please begin. You have a minute.
Okay, so my name is Joseph. I'm a master's in urban planning student at UC Irvine. I'm also a member of Communities for a Better Environment and a resident of Wilmington. My community has the highest oil well concentration out of the city of Los Angeles. When I first moved to Wilmington, I would constantly get nosebleeds, and my parents and I didn't understand why. It wasn't until years later that I found that these nosebleeds were a common side effect of living near the oil wells. I always grew up enjoying seeing the oil wells. You know, they look like dinosaurs, seeing them move up and down, but I had no idea how harmful they were to my community. They were near homes, schools, local churches, and clinics. Oil extraction puts communities like mine at risk and gives them health issues, and also brings environmental hazards and impacts. I have dealt with it personally. I also believe that there is a path forward for Wilmington for clean jobs and safe communities without the need of oil. If Los Angeles is to be a leader in being a green city, it starts by making sure that it guarantees that all communities
Thank
are
you,
safe
Speaker.
from the. Okay.
Thank you.
Please state your name and the items you wish to speak on.
Eric Roman, general public comment.
Please begin. A minute.
Good morning, council members. Eric Roman from Stand LA. It's been over 4 years since Stand LA began working with the city council on addressing the problem of urban oil drilling. And it's been 9 months since the current motion to phase out oil drilling was passed by its first committee, and it still has 2 committees still to clear. During those months and years of waiting, our communities and our health have continued to bear the burden. Our neighbors have battled cancer. Some have won those battles and others have not. At the same time, just yesterday, a leading panel of climate scientists from around the world issued a report signaling a code red for us to address the climate crisis. Time has not run out, and the blueprint is clear: a rapid transition off of fossil fuels, not decades from now, but by the end of this decade. Let's be clear that the deep-rooted systemic racism means climate change and oil drilling both are disproportionately burdening Black and Brown communities. We're asking for this council to pass the motion and set a clear path to phase out oil extraction within 5 years and to advance a rapid transition to an equitable and just clean energy economy. Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker.
Please state your name and the items you wish to speak on.
Hi, Rob Kwan. I'd like to speak on items 35, 37, and general public comment.
Sure. So you have 2 minutes for the items, followed by a minute for general public comment. Please begin.
Thank you, Fable. I find it very fitting for item number 37 that this resolution seeking to gut an open government bill was quietly initiated by the CLA and scheduled last Friday by the council president, and is now being waved through by committee, limiting public input on that process. None of you cowards are willing to introduce a motion, but are eager to do the League of Cities bidding. The CLA wouldn't have this line of approach without the council president's guidance, so there's no real hiding the ball here. The CLA's report is hyperbolic and disingenuous. The CLA acts as though virtual public comment is far too challenging and disregards the fucking fact that we've been having virtual comment for the last 1.5 years. Sharon is shamelessly doing the anti-democratic bidding of the council president on the offensive speech angle. I thought that incorporation was pretty cute as far as those arguments. It's a moot point. The First Amendment protects offensive speech, regardless of whether it happens in person or in a virtual setting. The rules you created on disruption don't even apply to the content of the speech unless the speaker is off topic with an agenda item. Virtual public comment actually makes it easier for you to handle disruptions. Speakers are muted unless they have the floor, and instead of the sergeant having to slow walk them out of council chambers, Fable can simply push a button. For item number 35, I want to speak on the redistricting deadline. I think it's really shameful that none of you actually called this special. Failure to properly fund the redistricting commission's budget has already affected the commission's performance. The commission has repeatedly violated the Brown Act and Rob Bonta's bill on open and accessible meetings for the redistricting process. Council President Martinez might not care because she'll be stepping down as council president down the line or go run for mayor by the time these maps are actually final. But you are all putting the city in a legally precarious place by allowing the commission to stumble around as it repeatedly violates the law.
You can go in general if you wish, Speaker. Speaker, are you there? Apparently not. We'll go into the next speaker. I think we lost.
Does that conclude our public comment? Not yet.
Next speaker, please.
Please state your name and the items you wish to speak on.
Mado Kakusian with Physicians for Social Responsibility Los Angeles and Stand LA for general public comment. We're here today to ask you to do something very simple, to bring to a vote in front of the full council a motion that 9 of you, a majority of the council, have already voted on, one that would not in itself phase out oil extraction, but set in motion a process to do so. Councilmember Krikorian, we appreciate your leadership on this issue at the Energy Committee late last year and for later allocating resources in the city budget. We look forward to seeing this move through the Budget and Finance Committee as soon as possible. Councilmember Lee, likewise, we appreciate your vote in support of the motion at the Plum Committee, and we look forward to working with you to make sure this motion comes to the full council as soon as possible. I call on the City Council to prioritize this motion and prioritize the communities most impacted by oil extraction. Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker.
Please state your name and the items you wish to speak on.
Angela McArdle, 1 minute for general public comment.
Please begin.
I'm the chair of the Libertarian Party of Los Angeles County. The Libertarian Party opposes the proposed ordinance to require proof of vaccination in order for people to enter indoor public spaces in Los Angeles. This proposal is a dehumanizing, gross violation of personal rights. We are holding a protest at City Hall this Friday at 12 p.m. Please reach out to us at lplac.us if you'd like to meet other residents and business owners who oppose this illegal measure. We're encouraging everyone to protest at their city council representatives' field offices and homes as well. If you'd like information on litigation, please reach out to me. You can find me online. I yield the balance of my time.
Thank you, Speaker.
Please state your name and the items you wish to speak on.
My name is Alicia Rivera, and I wish to speak on general comments.
Please begin.
Alicia Rivera, Wilmington, CBE, Communities for a Better Environment, about the oil drilling. People in Wilmington continue to suffer while this council does not continue to do what they need to in terms of the oil drilling operations so close to people. A lot of them did not make it through COVID because they are so, their lungs are so vulnerable living so close to these operations. Please, Councilman Krikorian and Lee, we really appreciate your leadership to bring these issues to the forefront in your committees, but we need you to step up again and bring it for a full city council vote. People have been waiting for years. This council never paid attention to the oil drilling operations until the Stand LA brought it to your attention. But it's been years since people have been waiting. Please.
Thank you, Speaker.
Caller with the last 4 digits, 6387, please press *6 to unmute. Please state your name and the items you wish to speak on.
Good morning. My name is Dr. Ashley Williams, and I would like to speak on general comment for 1 minute.
Sure, you have a minute. Please begin.
My name is Dr. Ashley Williams, Black Women for Wellness, and I'm a proud member of STAND LA, calling for general comment on behalf of Black women and girls living in close proximity to oil drilling and gas production sites in South Los Angeles. So we urge this council to bring the motion for oil phase out up to a vote for the front of a full city council as soon as possible. We believe that these sites are disproportionately placed in communities of color, leaving Black women to bear the brunt of the burden. During the months and years of waiting, our communities and our health have continued to bear this burden. Our neighborhoods and our neighbors have battled cancer. Some have won and others have unfortunately not. Exposures from these sites have drastic effects on our reproductive health and birth outcomes, such as premature birth, low birth weight, miscarriages, and many more. On behalf of vulnerable communities, we need your leadership.
Thank you, Speaker.
Please state your name and the items you wish to speak on.
Yes, my name is Stanley Chapman. I'd like to speak on item number 12.
Sure, please begin.
Yes, I am calling to give my full support on the 25,000 by 2025. It's desperately needed, and I thank Kevin De Leon for proposing this. Thank you very much. I yield back the rest of my time. Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker.
Please state your name and the items you wish to speak on.
Wendy Miranda, I'm speaking for general public comment.
Please begin. You have a minute.
Yeah, my name is Wendy Miranda, and I'm a resident of Wilmington and a part of Communities for a Better Environment, as well as the Stand LA Coalition. And I'm urging this council to bring the motion for an oil phase out up for a vote in front of the full city council as soon as possible. As I've mentioned, I live in Wilmington, which is home to the largest concentration of oil drilling sites in the city of LA. And for years, my community has had to deal with breathing toxic pollutants from these oil drilling sites and have caused so many of us, including myself and my family, to have asthma and other health issues. It's been over 4 years since a formal process started in this council to address neighborhood drilling and 9 months since the current motion was passed by the first committee. Our community shouldn't have to wait this long for our health to be protected, and we shouldn't have to sacrifice our health to the oil and gas industry. So again, I'm urging this council to bring the motion for an oil phase out up for a vote in front of the full city council as soon as possible, and urge council members Lee and Krikorian as the chairs of the two committees where the motion is still pending
Thank
to
you,
do what
Speaker.
Please state your name and the items you wish to speak on.
Nikki Jackson, general public comment on item 12.
Please go ahead.
Item 12 is very important. We thank Councilmember De Leon very much for bringing it forward and hope that it passes today. We have a terrible housing crisis, not in luxury market rate units. Those are sitting empty all over town. More than enough of them to house every single person who is homeless. What we don't have and what we have a housing crisis in is affordable housing in all of its various forms, but especially extremely low income. And this is a step in the right direction. If we can get these units up, we can house a sizable number of people. It's very, very important. I also wanted to say that I really, really do think that council member he's had so many wonderful offices. They just all come into my mind at once. Councilmember De Leon for showing leadership in this. And I urge the rest of the council to take a page from his leadership and come up with other motions and come up with other ideas to get people housed immediately. Our environmental crisis only makes that more important. And I am a person who lives in Highland Park. I live only 3 blocks from the new small houses project. And I am very grateful to have that near me. I'm very proud to have that near me. And many, many other people in Highland Park have written on various bulletin boards and things that I subscribe to how happy they are to have these houses here and how much more of it we need.
Thank you, Speaker. And with that, Madam President, we are done with we're done with public comment.
Okay, members, let's go ahead and vote on the following items. Items 1 through 10, items 14 through 29, and items 31 through 36. Please open the roll. Close the roll. And tabulate the votes.
13 ayes.
Let's go ahead and move on to item 11 as amended. Let's go ahead and open the roll. Close the roll and tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Okay, let's move on to item 30. There's going to be 2 votes on this item. One is whether we're going to substitute. Let's go ahead and open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Okay, this item is now before us. Let's go ahead and open the roll. Close the roll and tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Okay, item 12 was called special by Mr. De Leon.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, and I want to thank you personally for prioritizing this item and your commitment to building a comprehensive homelessness plan. Colleagues, for too long, Los Angeles has struggled with the growing challenge of homelessness. What was once primarily isolated in a neighborhood in my district called Skid Row, homelessness affects nearly every community throughout our great city of Los Angeles. People have taken different roads to get there. Poverty, structural racism, income inequality, mental illness, addiction, all of the above. Regardless, these roads have led to homelessness. And now people find themselves trapped in an open-air prison that they can't escape on their own. This humanitarian crisis has brought together and galvanized residents of Los Angeles, Republicans, Democrats, independents, everyone in between. We all know around this horseshoe and the dais that Angelenos are tired of excuses and they want solutions. Today, for the first time in the city's history, Los Angeles has fixed or focused its sights on a North Star to help guide us through this challenge. That North Star is what I call a way home. It's a way home for those who have struggled to survive on our streets for months and even years. This vote today commits the city to a goal of creating and developing 25,000 new homeless housing units that get unhoused Angelenos a roof over their head by the year 2025. I want to thank each and every one of you on the council for your unwavering commitment to tackling the problem of homelessness head on. I want to give a very special thank you to the members also of the Homeless and Poverty Committee, starting with our chair, Mark Riley Thomas, as well as all of our colleagues, Mr. Buscaino, as well as Ms. Monica Rodriguez, as well as Mr. Rahman, Ms. Rahman, I should say, Ms. Nithya Rahman. Mr. O'Farrell, good morning. Now, whether you live in Venice or South LA, Pacoima or San Pedro, Silver Lake or Granada Hills, at the end of the day, we all know there are no easy answers. But we also know that enforcement is not going to get people housed. But by setting a clear goal and timeline to achieve that objective, we set the city on a course to deliver results. Make no mistake, for any critics out there, we know that permanent and non-congregate temporary housing is our overall objective. We can't continue to have our constituents, confined to the outdoor prison of our streets, broiling under a hot sun. Too many people have died on our streets and in our alleys. Last year, it was 1,383 individuals who lost their lives. To save lives, we must build permanent housing, must acquire that housing, and must also do master leasing. Also, at the same time, we all know we must provide that non-congregate temporary shelters. I believe it's the right thing to do. It's the smart thing to do. Today, we're making a significant decision that will begin to erase our city's most indelible mark of shame. The time for studying the crisis and hearing from experts, I believe, is over. Now is the time for action and delivering tangible results. Now is the time to get a roof over the heads of our unhoused neighbors and give them an opportunity to regain their lives and restore the pride of a great city. Again, I want to thank our President, Madam Chair, Madam President, Nuri Martinez, as well as our colleagues around the Horseshoe for your support of our 25 by 25. Thank you very much.
Okay, members, there are 2 votes on item number 12. There's 2 amendments. There's members on the queue. I apologize. Mr. Ridley Thomas?
I want to thank Mr. De Leon for this work in the amending language. Colleagues, Bruce Lee once said, "A goal is not always meant to be reached. It often serves simply as something to aim at." We accept this as aspirational. It's an important installment in the discussions that we've had on this council pertaining to the right to housing, to street engagement, to finding resources, to do what house those who are homeless, transition them from the streets. And I believe it is the job of policymakers to set goals that are both ambitious and at once realistic, and then to address the countless obstacles that we all know will inevitably we will encounter in reaching that goal. There's no reason not to set the goal. There's no question that the housing crisis is inextricably linked to our homelessness crisis. And I believe, and I think it's the intent of the author to say precisely this: the best solution is to create more housing and a lot of it. Colleagues, a goal in and of itself is simply insufficient. We need to have a plan with the substantial resources tied to it. A plan with substantial resources. If someone wants to know why we can salute what happened on Venice Beach, for an example, there were resources. There wasn't magic. It was leadership, resources, and people had a common sense of purpose as they pursued a goal. Then when we have that goal, we have the plan we've got to execute, we've got to implement. So Mr. De Leon's motion provides direction to do just that, not just to aim, but to devise a plan to ultimately reach that goal. This is consistent with what is going on in terms of a renewed sense of energy on the council aimed at the homeless crisis, the #1 crisis confronting this city. Madam President and members of the council, Mr. De Leon, I look forward to reviewing the report from the CLA. As you indicated, Mr. De Leon, the Homelessness and Poverty Committee spent a lot of time talking about this, dialoguing about it, and it's worth it. It's absolutely worth it. We've got to lean in, we've got to struggle with this, and there ought to be more motions, and I suspect there will be, precisely on this question of how we do right by those who are yet homeless, houseless, who deserve the full measure of dignity and purpose in their lives, and it is up to us to facilitate that, to implement that, to pursue that with all the resources at our disposal. Madam President.
Mr. Cedillo?
Mr. Ridley Thomas, you are absolutely right, and I could not agree with you more, that a slogan is not a plan. A goal is admirable, and we should be goal-focused. But a plan has a start date, a plan has an end date, a plan has action items, a plan has a schedule, a plan has strategies for resources. A plan is much more than simply our vision. Our vision's essential, but more important are the strategies and the plans of implementation. And so we look forward to doing that. I brought forth a motion, though, because this is a city that led the way in zoning. In fact, this is the city, the first city that created industrial zoning. And then this is the city that embraced racist restrictive covenants. And so if you look at the history of the city and its makeup, there's a reason why we have the divide between wealth and poverty. I spent Sunday in Mr. Bonin's district, joined him there, and was amazed. I didn't see one street vendor. I didn't see one homeless person. And yet it was the city of Los Angeles. Well, not where we went. I didn't see that. I saw an abundance of wealth. I'm familiar with the wealth of this city if you look at the graphs and the charts. I'm familiar with the distribution of housing if you look at the graphs and the charts. But it is amazing that in this city, there is such richness coupled side by side with the dystopia living of the rest of us. There's an apartheid to the distribution of wealth and poverty, housing, resources in this city. And so that's why I've offered a motion, because it's not just simply getting those numbers. It's essential. But if we get those numbers in the same patterns and practices that we've had in the past, we will fail this city. We must ensure, and I want to applaud housing for their study, their deep dive with planning, the distribution of affordability in this city. I mentioned it last week when I spoke of the efforts of Mr. O'Farrell. Mr. O'Farrell and myself, Mr. De Leon, account for over half of the affordability and the shelters in this city. You couple that with Ms. Martinez, over 65%. That is not a city of democracy. There is no justice in those practices and patterns. And so I've offered an amendment, Mr. De Leon. I'm happy to join you in your motion, but we must be substantive now. We must move forward and take the actions that the entirety of this city deserves to make sure that not only do we create the housing that's needed and the numbers that's needed, but it has to be fair. There must be opportunities for everyone to live throughout this city. It cannot be the kind of structural apartheid that happens as a result consciously of the zoning and the history of this city. Now is the time for us to make true the promise of that democracy. Mr. Ridley Thomas, I thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cedillo. Seeing no other members on the queue, like I mentioned, there are two votes on this item. We've got two amendments, amendments A and B. Let's go ahead and vote on those amendments. Let's open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Okay, that item is now before us. Let's go vote on the item as amended. Open the roll, Close the roll and tabulate the vote.
13 eyes.
Thank you. Mr. O'Farrell, let's move on to your item. Item number 13 was called special by you for a presentation from the Department of Sanitation. Let me make sure we have all the participants in our meeting. Give me just a second,
13.
sir.
For the 13th.
What item did I just say? 13? Yeah,
Yes,
13.
13 for the 13th, Madam
13th.
President.
So before you start your remarks, I just want to make sure that we have all of the attendees in our meeting. I believe there's a total of 7 participants. Can ITA give me a thumbs up? ITA, are these folks in our meeting yet?
Yes.
So let me just confirm, we have General Manager Barbara Romero with us.
Yes.
Tracy?
Yes. Hello.
Okay, there you are. Tim?
Yes, good morning.
Okay, good morning. Pamela?
Here. Good morning.
Shari?
Good morning.
Adina?
Yes. Good morning.
And Moss? There you are.
Yes, good
I
morning.
see you. Good morning. So, Ms. Romero, is this everyone or am I missing anyone?
This is everyone.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. O'Farrell, back to you.
Thank you, Madam President. Led by General Manager Barbara Romero, colleagues, the aces are in their places for this report, and I want to thank the Bureau of Sanitation for all of their work since this spill happened on July 11th at the Hyperion Water Reclamation Plant, which we all know resulted in significant discharge of sewage into our Pacific Ocean. Now, my office has been communicating with LA San since that time to understand what caused the spill, current cleanup and mitigation efforts, and what the department's next steps are to ensure that this never happens again. Last week, I had the great privilege of touring the entire site, and what an amazing scene that is in the aftermath of this disaster. This team will convey what that experience was like in real time, and then, of course, the aftermath. It is widely believed that the disaster at Hyperion was caused by overwhelming quantities of unexpected debris, such as construction materials, bicycle parts, pieces of furniture, and various other types of materials, which partially blocked filtering screens. And these materials, colleagues, frequently block these filtering screens on a regular basis. But in this particular incident, all of the filtering screens became inoperable over a short period of time due to the sheer unprecedented volume of materials causing a total blockage, followed by flooding of the entire facility that was chest high and diversion of raw sewage 1 mile off the coast that we've all been reading about over the past month. We must continue to educate the public about the importance of proper waste disposal and continue to lobby our state and federal policymakers for resources and laws to help address this continuing problem. Of relevance to this particular issue, based on my visit and the visuals that my team and I witnessed at Hyperion last week, Councilmembers Koretz, Krikorian, and Blumenfield joined me in putting forward a motion encouraging the passage of SB 343, AB 1201, and AB 818 to mitigate the effects of greenwashing, which is the practice of placing deceptive, exaggerated, and misleading labels on products to make them appear environmentally friendly. I believe, based on what I saw at Hyperion, that the volume of supposedly disposable wipes being flushed down the toilets that have proliferated since before the pandemic, but certainly since, by the millions every week helped lead to this disaster at Hyperion. These wipes are advertised as flushable in many instances, and that is extremely deceptive and costly and dangerous to our sanitation workers. The motion before us today was approved at last week's Energy, Environmental Justice, Climate Change, and River Committee and includes, but is not limited to, asking the Bureau of Sanitation to report on the status of repairs at Hyperion and its estimated completion date, as well as the steps the department is taking to alleviate community concerns. Thank you, Ms. Romero, for bringing the team here for this PowerPoint presentation, which we heard in committee last week. And so, Ms. Romero, if you and your team could give us a rundown of the events that happened on July 11th that caused the wastewater spill. What immediate steps did you take to respond to the situation? How soon after it occurred did you know about the problem? And what remediation steps are currently ongoing? Colleagues, I think you're going to get a good presentation, and of course, we'll open it up with questioning after the presentation is complete. Madam President.
Ms. Romero?
Oh, okay. So thank you, Council President, and thank you, Councilmember Farrell.
Can you adjust your camera? We can barely see you. There you go.
It's,
Much
I know,
better.
I have to stand up.
Yep.
So thank you for this opportunity to address you today on this critical public health and safety and environmental issue. Sanitation takes our role as operators of the largest water reclamation plant in the country very seriously. The incident on 7/11 was and has been a challenging experience for our neighbors, our stakeholders, and our staff. Today, we'll provide a quick update regarding the scope of the incident, how we responded immediately, and what we're continuing to do so at this plan and in the future from preventing this from happening again. The team, so you guys know, has spent the last month working 24/7 on what became an emergency recovery site to ensure that we prevent further destruction, mitigate the damage that was incurred, and now to recover from the damage done. Thankfully, we are on the road to recovery. But let me be clear to you here that you have my personal commitment that we'll use this incident to not only improve and update our processes and protocols, but to also use this opportunity to how we respond and notify everyone on the incident. I'd now like to introduce Tim DeFeda, our Hyperion Executive Plant Manager, to give you the update.
Yeah, thanks, Ms. Romero. Pam, can you share the slides, please? Thank you. So next slide, please. So for those of you who've been to Hyperion, this is an aerial map of Hyperion that shows the entire plant. We're on the boundary of Vista Del Mar and Imperial Highway opposite LAX. And the facility where the spill occurred is the Headworks building, which is shown in the picture here. Next slide, please, Pam. So on July 11th, around midday, the plant began to experience problems at the Headworks. And that's where all the 6,700 miles of sewer within the city comes through 5 outfalls into the plant and brings wastewater for treatment every day. So we receive about almost 2 rose bowls of water every day for treatment. So around 12, we began to experience problem. By 3 p.m., untreated wastewater overflowed out of the Headworks from the Headworks into the plant roadways. So from 3 p.m. to around 7 p.m., staff kept pumping that water that had overflowed out of the Headworks back into the Headworks, essentially keeping that water on site and trying to bring it back into the treatment processes in order to avoid any kind of overflow or spill outside of the facilities. At 7:59 p.m., we got to a situation where we could no longer hold that water on site because at that point, further letting the water to stay on site would have, in essence, led to more catastrophic consequences than what transpired on that day. So at around 7 p.m., the wastewater began to overflow through to the 1 mile outfall. The 1 mile outfall, the plant is connected to the 1 mile outfall as our stormwater system. So when it rains, we circulate water back to the Headworks, and then if the storm gets too big after the first flush, the water goes out through the 1 mile outfall. So the water that made its way through the plant roadways into the storm drain now began to overflow into the 1 mile outfall. At 7:59 p.m., we made contact with the State Office of Emergency Services, and OES notified the County Department of Public Health and also the Regional Water Quality Control Board. On the national level, we made notification to the National Response Center. And then at 9:30 p.m. at night, the county health department inspectors came on site. So the pictures that you see illustrate the extent of what happened on that day. So on the very top, you see all the clock screens. As was mentioned, we have 8 of those that screen out materials from going downstream and damaging equipment. And usually we take about 20 tons of those every day to the landfill. And so the next set of pictures that you see on the bottom shows all the flooding on site. So the rightmost picture on the bottom shows the flooded headworks, and staff had to abandon that building because it became increasingly unsafe to be in there with the flood. And a lot of the access hatches to maintain equipment were open, and someone could easily fall into those access hatches. Next slide, please, Pam. So we continued working to keep most of the water on site, which we did, but unfortunately 17 million gallons overflowed out into the 1 mile outfall. But because of improvements that had been done on site to install catch basin screens and other improvements over time, even though we had 17 million overflow into the ocean, you didn't see any kind of floatable materials because all that was trapped on site. At 4:30 a.m. in the morning, when the flow had begun to subside, because as we were dealing with what was happening, more flows kept coming into the plant. So at 4:30 a.m. in the morning, we were able to intervene and go into the headworks and use the crane to lift up, what is essentially a large metal plate that acts as a bypass gate that allows flows to come into the plant unfiltered in the case of an emergency. So once we lifted that plate open, metal plate open, the flow rushed back into the process, and the flooding ended. So at 8:41 a.m., the residual flows that were still within the 1 mile went out to the ocean and stopped at that point. Next slide, please, ma'am. So this is an aerial view again of Hyperion that shows essentially all the flooded areas below ground. So we have a series of underground tunnels. If you've been to Hyperion, from north to south in the entire plant, 144 acres, we have a series of underground tunnels that house most of the piping and a lot of the pumps and valves and equipment that we use in the processes of cleaning the wastewater. So this just shows you all the areas impacted from north to south, which was essentially the entire plant. Next slide, please. So this picture illustrates the extent of the damage and the extent of the flooding. So the very top left-hand picture shows you the entrances into the underground tunnels, and I think we have almost 50 of those, and all that was flooded, and that's what caused significant damages, and that's why it took us some time to recover. The pictures on the right show all the flooded roadways and how we kept trying to pump most of that water through the storm drain system back into the plant. Next slide, please. So this is a construction site that we built in our advanced water purification facility that will serve water to both LAX and the plant. And so it became a lake that ended up taking about 1 million gallons on site and damaged some of the earth-moving equipment on site. So it took us about a week to pump out all this water from various plant facilities and back into the treatment processes. Next slide, please, ma'am. So this picture just illustrates the entire processes at the plant and why the recovery took us a while. So everything that you see in yellow are essentially pumps that pump materials from various processes from one to the other. So those were heavily impacted. So from the beginning of the plant, the raw wastewater comes in, goes through our primary sedimentation tanks, and then to our secondary reactors. That's where the box, feed on the wastewater and clean it up. And it goes to the secondary clarifiers, and that's where we settle the box down, and then we pump the sludge. And the sludge goes to our digesters, and those digesters digest the sludge and create power for us. So that's how we generate the 20 megawatts of power that runs the plant, and which is taking about 95,000 tons of methane out of the atmosphere and enough to power about 30,000 homes. And so this sludge is important to us because it's money for us. So the entire process was shut down. So from the truck loading facility that you see on the very bottom left, where we take biosolids to our Green Acres farm to use that as soil amendment, all the way back through the process, everywhere along the chain where you see all those yellow boxes, they were all impacted. And so the chain was cut off at every point. And so that's what took us a while to get through that recovery phase and get the plant back on track. Next slide. So these are pictures again of recovery processes. We built a lot of bypasses. As you see on the right-hand side, the top right-hand picture, we had 54 pumps damaged in that section of the plant that recirculates the microorganisms back to the head of the plant to feed on the waste, and in addition, move the sludge to the digesters. So with all the pumps damaged, we had to build new systems and new bypasses around. And the very bottom picture shows our operations manager showing you the level of the flooding on the ground within the plant. So 71% of the critical processes are now back online, and we are in a great shape to fully recover and get back to normal operations in the next upcoming weeks. Next slide, please. So with this, I'll hand over to our Chief Operating Officer, Ms. Tracy Minamidi. Thanks.
Good morning, President Martinez and honorable council members. Tracy Minamidi, Chief Operating Officer for LA Sanitation and Environment. This slide here, we just want to depict that we are a highly regulated facility. This is a permit from the Regional Water Quality Control Board of California and of the US EPA. They do have notification requirements specified in our permit, which we followed. And then the document on the right is a document from the regional board specifying additional monitoring requirements that kicked in as a result of the discharge out the 1 mile outfall, as well as reporting. We needed to do a 5-day report back, and we have a 30-day report back coming up as well. Just an emphasis here on the regulatory oversight that we have within the facility. If you go to the next slide, what you see here is the basic elements of parameters that are looked at to determine the level of treatment, the quality of water that's produced from the plant. This is sample data that's collected out our standard 5-mile outfall. This is where we normally discharge our flows. And what you see here are 2 parameters. And the blue line, it's our total suspended solids, and the red line is our biochemical oxygen demand. Along the vertical axis is the concentration, and the horizontal axis is the date. So you'll see here that prior to July 11th, we do very well in terms of water quality, roughly here around 20 milligrams per liter. We have a monthly average limit of 45. So we're very comfortable in meeting that limit. But on July 11th, there you start to see both of those parameters increasing. This is because once the incident happened, the level of treatment began to be degraded at the plant. The water was still going all through the treatment process, but because, as Tim was saying, a lot of our pumping equipment wasn't working, a lot of the solids in our settling tanks began to build up over time. So over the course of a 3-week period, you'll see the parameters here going up higher and higher past our permit limits. You will see the turning point roughly around August 2nd there at the 3-week mark, that we were able to bring several of our pumps back online and also remove a major choke point on the solid side of our operation. Once we removed that choke point, we were able to start moving all of those, we call them sludge blankets, That's the solid material that was building up inside of our primary and our secondary clarifiers. We were able to start pumping that out and bringing that level down. So you'll see that the quality of the water in our effluent has improved significantly. So both the BOD and the TSS are coming down. Our most recent data point from the 8th, just when was that? Sunday, has come down significantly. So we're really feeling much better about the quality improving, as well as the correlation to that with the odors reducing. On the next slide, I want to start getting into a little bit of what we've been looking at to try to pinpoint what caused this problem. That's always the first question that we've all asked ourselves is, why did this happen? How did it happen? Where did it come from? So we've started an analysis focusing on our sewer conveyance system. We have 6,700 miles of sewer across the city of Los Angeles, which is enough to go from LA to New York 2.5 times. So quite a bit of sewer. What this is showing here is some of our flow gauging. The top yellow line is an indication of the flow in totality coming in at the plant itself. So it's the horizontal axis is for July, the day of July 11th. So flows are average, flows are looking good, steady state, until you see this erratic yellow line here going up and down. That's the indication that there was a lot of turbulence at the influent of the plant. At the bar screens, there was the backflow created by the fact that the bar screens were being blinded by all of that debris. And then you see at the end, the flow meters basically just stopped working because the flow was way too erratic, too deep. The monitors couldn't read. And you'll see the flat line there at the very bottom. The other three graph lines, the gray, the orange, and the blue, are three of the 5 major outflow sewers that feed into the plant. So this is an actual reading of 3 of the sewers at the very point where they're coming into the plant. And you'll see that it lags a little bit behind what you see happening at Hyperion on the yellow bars. You'll see the lag there showing that the readings are beginning to indicate that there's a problem in the trunk line sewers themselves because the flow is backing up, right? So if you can't get the flow as it should through Hyperion at the plant headworks, then you begin to see the flows backing up actually into the sewers. So this was an indication to us that our flow gauging data can actually give us some really good information as to what's happening in the sewer. So when you go to the next slide, again, this is a depiction. Here, it's a graph of the flow of one of the typical sewers that's coming into the plant. We have 5 major trunk lines, as you see in the inset graph there. This is a representation of our north outfall sewer. And across the horizontal axis, you actually see 3 days, 4 days of readings. And you'll see this kind of repetitious flow pattern, the vertical axis being flow. So certain times of the day, late mornings, you're going to see the flow go really high, and then early morning hours, you'll see those dips. So very regular, very predictable on a daily basis, except when you look at the red line, again, you see those erratic flow patterns there. That again is an indication of just outside the Hyperion plant in this particular sewer, the north outfall sewer. You'll see that evidence of the backflow that was created because of the choke point at the plant itself. And this is typical of all 5 of the trunk line sewers. This is what we saw, again, indicating that our flow recordings will show when there are problems. So what we've done is we've started looking at all 200 of our flow monitoring sites across the system, looking for information such as this that might give us clues as to where a problem may have occurred. So that assessment is going on. We're also doing some visual inspections. We've identified 900 maintenance holes that we're sending down pole cameras into those maintenance holes to see if we can see any kind of debris or residuals along those maintenance holes that would have indicated some surcharging or some other abnormal flow conditions, or looking around to see if perhaps it was accessed by outsiders. That's part of our initial review. The next slide. Oh, okay, excuse me. Can you just back up 1 minute, Pam? So what I did want to say is that's the work that we're doing with our own staff. In addition, what we've done is brought on a third party expert, sewer experts to look further into specifically where we might see some problems. So they have camera equipment that is actually going to be going down into specific areas of our sewers to look for any kind of indications of debris, any scouring along the sides of the sewers, to try to pinpoint what may have caused the problems. It's hard to say right now. Initial theories are potentially that there could be some areas within our sewer where we have structures such as diversion structures or siphons or drop structures, something different than the normal straight line pipe that could have caused some hangup of debris and some buildup over time that it eventually just on July 11th just let loose. We're also going to be looking at areas where we have done sewer repairs and done sewer lining. Perhaps there's some delamination of that sewer lining that again cracked or created crevices where debris could hang up again. And then at some point just have been released. So that's a study that we're pursuing right now. We expect it to take approximately 90 days to complete. So from here, I'll turn it back over to you, Barbara.
Thank you. Next. So although we fulfilled our duty by notifying our regulators as mandated, we really could do more to go above and beyond, and we really will strive to do so. As you know, communication, the last time we had an incident was 11 years ago. The way people expect to get information today is very different. So what we really need to do is update and upgrade our systems and distribution lists and who gets it more promptly. And so we're working on that as we're moving to our recovery stage. Next. Next page. So just to wrap up, I just want to say that as you can see, our team responded the best way they could, considering the conditions. We've not had a violation as indicated in 11 years, but as we continue to get to normal operations, we'll work with regulators and third-party assessment to really get to not only how can we improve our plant practices and operations, but to find that, as you heard, the cause of the incident so this doesn't happen again. This facility is not only important to LA, but to the region. So we have the responsibility to improve it and use this as a learning and lessons learned. And as you see here, we're gonna produce some third-party assessments that are being undertaken now. We're looking internally now as we're in the recovery zone, what facility and process improvements we can do. And more importantly, we'll come back with you with our findings and recommendations in 90 days. So now I'd like to turn it over for any questions and answers that I or any of our team members can answer. Thank you.
Mr. O'Farrell?
And thank you, Ms. Romero, and the entire team at Sanitation for this presentation. You mentioned other partners. How many people does the Hyperion water treatment plant serve?
Trace?
Well, of course, we serve all of the city of Los Angeles for 4.7 million residents, as well as several contract agencies. We have 29 contract agencies that we also serve. 7 of them are actual contract cities, and we take their wastewater in from their sewer system and treat them at Hyperion.
Am I imagining this, or did I hear something to the tune roughly 7 million customers, roughly?
4.7
in total. So all of Los Angeles plus another 700,000. Okay. And you covered a lot in this presentation and even more at committee, but could you just state for the record, have you conducted regular daily water quality tests of the ocean to determine the spill's impact And as of late, in recent days, what's the current water quality of the shoreline near you, or even a mile out or 5 miles out? And do you have a sense of the impact to marine life yet?
I'm going to turn that over to our chief scientist, Mastojuri.
Good morning, everybody. Yes, we've monitored the shoreline. We've monitored the 1 mile outfall and the 5 mile outfall for bacteriology. We've done some short-term monitoring, working with SCOOS, which is a Southern California Coastal Ocean Observing System, to ascertain the current direction and speed during the overflow discharge. We've done toxicity testing, we've done phytoplankton and harmful algal bloom testing, and we've really come up negative. In other words, no adverse effect to the environment and the organisms living in Santa Monica Bay in the short term. In the long term, we will go ahead and do some benthic sampling. That's to assess the small little invertebrates, organisms that live in the mud, the sediment in Santa Monica Bay. These are the small clams and crustaceans, et cetera, worms that live there. And then we'll also do some trawling, which is putting out a large net off our city-owned vessel and assessing the fish and larger invertebrate community to see if there's any adverse impacts. But I don't predict that there are any long-term impacts from this discharge.
Thank you, Moss. Do you have a sense of how safe is it for people to enter the water?
Yeah, yes, absolutely. We did bacteriological monitoring at the shoreline right after the overflow discharge. We sampled right at the base of the 1 mile outfall on the beach, and then periodically at different distances, all the way up north, 7 miles at Santa Monica Pier, and south to Avenue A and Redondo Beach. And there were no bacterial exceedances of any of the 3 indicated bacteria. So it was absolutely safe to go swimming and surfing at those beaches for those 5 days. And then we've also continued on with our normal routine bacteriological monitoring along the beaches that comprises 27 stations from Paradise Cove all the way down to Cabrillo Beach in San Pedro. And we haven't had any bacteriological exceedances that can be attributed to the discharge.
Thank you. Are there currently any partially treated wastewater discharges at all from Hyperion?
I think Tim would be the appropriate person to answer that one.
So the answer to that is no. And the reason why I say no is because we fully treat the water, but for 3 weeks, as was previously mentioned, there was nowhere else for the sludge to go or the solids to go. So we could not allow the solids to go into the ocean or back into people's homes. So we held those solids in our primary sedimentation tanks as well as our final clarifiers. So although we were treating clean water and it was coming into the clarifier, the fact that the sludge blanket was building up in the bottom was what affected that quality of water that went out. But since August 1st, August 2nd, once we began to pull out that sludge into the digesters to start creating gas, that interface between clean water and solid decreases over time. And so that's why you've seen the effluent data show that precipitous drop, and we expect that to continue.
Thank you, Tim.
And council member, I just so you know, I feel pretty strongly about this. My son is actually out at surf camp this week that I had signed up probably a month ago, but I thought it was, and he's having a good time out on Venice Beach.
Very good, very good. And Tim, when do you expect to have the sludge that you're currently holding, which I saw last week, are we still on track for having that fully treated by the end of August? And that's a very liberal expectation, by the end of August, perhaps even sooner.
Yeah, that is correct, Councilman, because as you imagine, we pull that sludge out every day, and now to have 3 weeks worth of backlog And so that's what we're currently doing, and we're speeding the process up as fast as we can do, knowing that there are some there are some biological processes in between, but we are on track with that schedule. Yes.
And when this operation is complete and we're back to normal operations, will you have a full financial accounting of the costs associated with this incident?
Yes, we will.
All right, and you'll bring that to us, to council. And lastly, Madam President, I have a question for the team. Given the existing design of the facility, do you believe you have adequate backup systems and protocols in place to prevent blockages and spills like this from happening again? And I know you have to factor in the investigation. Is the current capacity of Hyperion adequate for the region's needs? Can you answer that to any degree at this point, notwithstanding the investigation is not complete?
Yes, we have more than enough ample capacity. We just need to look at potentially where this came from. And we also, part of the lessons learned here is we do have a bypass system to be able to handle what we call a doomsday scenario. And so what we've learned from this episode is we have to have a process by which we get to that bypass gate in a more timely manner. So rather than we were late in getting there because the flooding occurred and it became unsafe. But in the future, we could, for example, set a limit in such a way that if the flow got to 1 feet or 2 feet before overflow, the crane is already in place to be able to lift up a bypass gate. So from lessons learned and the investigation, we think we're going to be in a much better place to handle something like this or prevent it from happening in the future.
Thank you. And colleagues, a new term has entered into the city lexicon, sledge blanket. Never heard that until this tour, but now I understand what that means. And I'm just really grateful, and we really dodged a bullet in terms of sanitation workers on the scene, on site, when this disaster was unfolding, that there were no injuries or worse. So I really want to, hats off to the team for your work on this. We know that it's a lot ahead of you, but we'll figure this out. And I am sure, I'm confident that once we do, we will take steps to make sure this never happens again. So with that, colleagues, I'm happy to open up the floor.
Yeah, we have a number of members on the queue. Mr. Bonin?
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you to Sanitation. Thank you to Mr. O'Farrell. As most of you know, Hyperion is in the 11th District, and the impacted areas are primarily in the 11th District. And along with Mr. Bruscaino, I'm one of the two who represents the coast, and I have the bulk of it where this has been felt. So I appreciate finally having the opportunity to have a public discussion at the city level about this. I want to talk a little bit about the impacts. First, let me also echo what Mr. O'Farrell said and thank the incredible work of sanitation staffers who responded to this quickly, who stopped this quickly, and fortunately who were not harmed, although some of them could have been in significant jeopardy as a result of this incident in the plant. The impact on this for people who visited the beach and for people who live and do business near the beach was pretty extreme. There are people who were reporting odors, headaches, nausea, body rashes. In El Segundo, as Supervisor Hahn has given strong voice to, but also in Playa del Rey and in other coastal communities. The stench of this was so strong that 8 days ago, last Monday, when I walked out of my home in Mar Vista, several miles away, the stench was overpowering. It was really, really very strong. Fortunately, it has gone down dramatically since then, and I've been very, very happy to see these numbers. But I have a couple questions about water quality and air quality and health and environmental impacts. Looking at DPH's website today for the coast, I see everything looks green. All although there is one yellow flag just south of the Santa Monica Pier. Do we have any indication at all of whether or not there's any impacts still being felt in the bay? A couple days ago, I think Mother's Beach had some advisories, if any of these are related to the spill.
Moss?
Yes, Councilman, thank you for your question. The discharge overflow occurred, I think it's 28 days ago. And the Hyperion effluent now is going through the usual 5-mile outfall. In 35 years of monitoring, or maybe even more than 35 years of monitoring and tracking the effluent plume from the Hyperion outfall, we have never, ever seen it go toward the shoreline. In fact, the closest that we see that it gets to the shoreline, the beach area, is about 3.5 kilometers. So that's not very close. So there is just no impact. Historically, we have never seen it. In addition, to answer your question, Santa Monica Pier is almost always exceeding. And that's because of the seagulls there, the half-eaten food that's thrown on the pier, the perhaps some leaky restrooms. I'm not sure what all the bacterial sources are from the pier, but piers generally, I've noticed have quite a few bacteriological exceedances just because of the nature of what they are.
Got it. I've been monitoring daily, and thank you for putting up the website specific to this incident. I've been monitoring daily the trajectory of the water quality, and despite a pretty sharp blip a week or so ago, it's been going down steadily and fairly dramatically over the past couple days. And I understand that the water quality meets all of the state and county standards. I'm curious, though, as of a few days ago, Heal the Bay was saying that we were still, in terms of our discharge, in violation of our national EPA NPDES permit. Is that still the case, that we're violating the NPDES permit?
I think Heal the Bay wasn't referring to the bacteriological results. I think what they were referring to was the total suspended solids, the biological oxygen demand, and a few other parameters, constituents, because the treatment isn't at the 100% effectiveness that we would like to see, and that historically Hyperion has experienced. But that's probably what Heal the Bay was referring to.
So do we think, though, that we are in any way, by any standard, in violation of NPDES permit and still subject to daily fines?
Yes, we aren't actually meeting the effluent limits at our 5-mile outfall, although as you said, Councilman, the data is showing significant improvements. We're not quite there yet. We expect to be there within the next several days.
Within the next week, you think?
Yes.
How hefty are those daily fines that we're potentially subject to, or do we know?
We don't know at this point. The Regional Water Quality Control Board and the State Board are doing their investigation. They do a thorough investigation of the incident. They come, they talk to us, they propose a certain penalty, and we work with them on mitigating circumstances until final values are reached. So that's quite some time down the road.
Thanks. And from either the 1 mile or the 5-mile outfall, is sludge still being discharged into the bay for a few more days?
No.
So there's no more sludge being discharged as part of the repair?
No, not at all. The solids goes into our digestion process where we produce the gas, and that biogas is used to generate power. And then the solids are sent to for composting or land application.
When did that stop? What day?
Well, we never had any sludge going out either of our outfalls. What we had was raw sewage going out the 1-mile outfall, which was that one day.
Right. Thank you. I want to ask about the air quality because while the water quality met standards pretty quickly, the complaints have really been about the air quality. And I know you've been working with AQMD, and they have been monitoring stuff. One of the concerns people in the community and visitors to the beach have had is what, if any, chemicals are being used to clean the plant that may be being discharged into the air?
Tim?
So, Councilmember Bonin, thank you for the question. We essentially used bleach inside the buildings, bleach and water for cleaning inside the buildings. And from time to time, we used deodorizers within the plant. And essentially, we've posted that information on the website and also shared that with AQMD. So if you look at the AQMD monitoring data, it does coincide with the fact that there are no elevated levels of methane or any kind of toxic pollutants in the air. Hydrogen sulfide is the one that is registered in terms of odors, and that number has, if you look at, especially within the past few days, has gone down to single digits. So for hydrogen sulfide, the state limit is 30 parts per billion for a 1 hour exposure. So if you look at our data, even though they're instantaneous, they are now in the single digits. So we've heard those claims, and that's why we put that information out on the website to show folks that it's largely within the plant roadways. We use just water to wash them into our internal pipes, and then get the treatment system, and then vacuum trucks to vacuum the streets. Inside the building is where we use the bleach, and that information is available for anyone to see.
Apologize for putting you on the spot, but do you happen to know where AQMD monitors the air quality? I know they have a stationary monitor in El Segundo near the Chevron oil refinery. I don't believe they have a stationary in our impacted areas in Los Angeles. Have they had mobile sensors in our area?
So you are correct, they don't have one in your district, but the reason I mentioned that was it was just indication that nothing, even when the wind drifted towards El Segundo, their measurements showed that there were no toxic impacts in the air. So nothing toxic was leaving the plant. That was the point of that, my explanation there. But you are correct, there is none in your district.
So has there been testing of air quality, say, at Mother's Beach or at Toes Beach or along Dockweiler?
The two monitoring stations that I'm aware of, one on by Manhattan Beach, and the other one in El Segundo. But other than that, those are the other monitoring was done within the plant. So I will defer. I don't know if we got any data from AQMD in terms of monitoring within Councilmember Bonin's district. I haven't seen those yet.
That's concerning, not only for the residents, but for the tens of thousands of people who visit there. I'd like us to have a conversation with AQMD about that. I think it's very, very important that in the more populated area, we actually didn't have the testing. We had it closer to the refinery. Quick question on the cause. I know we heard about wipes, but I heard in early reports there was construction debris. Some of my constituents, I've gotten anecdotal reports of pieces of wood with nails in them washing up on shore. How much do we think construction debris may have contributed to this?
I would say we looked at the data, we saw some of that material in there, but upon further assessment, our conclusion is it's more the everyday mundane trash that dominated the waste stream versus the construction and other kind of debris. But we do get a mix of those things that are coming into the plant.
But that was not a predominant factor?
No, when we went back and did an assessment, we did see some of that material on that day, but when we looked at the vast totality of what we collected, as reflected in the pictures you see, it's mostly the everyday mundane, the wipes, the plastics, the paper, the trash, things like that, that we believe should not be put in the sewers.
Thanks. So I had initially thought this was the largest environmental disaster in my district, and my staff reminded me that in 2015 there were actually 30 million gallons that had been discharged. Are there any lessons we learned from that 2015 incident that helped make this less severe?
Yes, Councilmember Bonin, and to correct the record on that, and in 2015, that was 30 million gallons of clean treated effluent that flushed out some debris that was that had lodged in our storm drain system for a long while. So the volume, even though 30 million, you hear that word 30 million gallons, is 30 millions of clean water flushing out debris that was entrained in the system. But to your point, we learned a lot of lessons. We worked with the environmental community, your office and others. So one of the things that we did was we went about the entire plant and we installed catch basin screens inside the entire plant. And also we went on Dockweiler Beach because the parking lots connect into our 1 mile outfall. And we install catch basin screens there. And those are very fine screens, I think 3/8 inches. So what happened on that, that came into usefulness on the 11th because it trapped a lot of the debris. So unlike 2015, when you saw those entrained materials in the storm drain system that were flushed and unfortunately showed up on the beach, which you were one of the first to alert us that night in 2015. If you come fast forward to now, you didn't see those materials there because those things were held internally on site and did not make their way into the receiving waters.
Thank you. The other thing about 2015 is after that incident, because there were complaints then as there were now about public notification, I believe sanitation worked with a working group of some sort that we formed with the county, with Heal the Bay, with various stakeholders to talk about how to improve notification. I would love to see us do the same this time, perhaps engage AQMD, but really get the environmental groups to the table. In my 25 or so years dealing with pollution issues in the Bay, we've always constantly improved, and the tighter our consultations are with Heal the Bay and Waterkeeper and others, the better off we do. I'll conclude just by asking for a couple things, some detail in the report. The report asks for some great things, and I appreciate that. It asks for the impact on the ocean and the beaches of the discharge on water quality. I'd also like to know what steps were taken and when to mitigate that during the spill. The same for the air quality. This asks for steps to be taken to control the noxious fumes and odors impacting the local community. I'd like to know, not just looking forward, but what steps were taken in real time and when. And then finally, Heal the Bay had asked for a couple different things that I'd like us to look at in the report, if you could. One is they note that the water quality testing system we use gives back results in 18 to 24 hours. And they indicate there is a potential for, much like with COVID testing, a PCR testing of the water quality to give us more rapid results. I'd love if you could report back on that in your report back. And the second is they indicated that there is ways to do remote sensing and water quality of the sewage plume to understand its path and its impacted locations and to help predict things in the future. I'd love if we could include that in the report back as well, if you could. Is that stuff you can include?
Yes.
Great.
Yes.
And with that, I'll conclude my remarks. Thank you, Madam President, and thank you to sanitation.
Thank you, Mr. Bonnie. Mr. Corrett?
Thank you, Madam President. I want to start by joining in and commending the workers at Hyperion who did the right thing and the rest of the staff who've been working around the clock to make things right and keep people in the ocean safe. If our workers hadn't acted as they did at great risk to their personal safety, we could have lost Hyperion completely, which would mean sewage everywhere for a long time and possibly the Aliso Canyon of sewage. So I think they did an amazing job preventing that. Just a couple of questions. One question I asked in committee, and I'm hoping staff has more details by now. Given our escalating mega drought, and this gets more relevant day by day, Are there opportunities to accelerate our engineering towards our Operation Next and our efforts at 100% recycled water as we fix Hyperion, rather than just fixing everything and then starting up again when we're ready to take that next step?
Tim, you want to take that? Yeah.
Yeah, I could take that. So, council member, that's a good question. Yeah, we do feel there are opportunities right now. So our first line right now, first of all, in order to minimize the cost, is to repair rather than bring in new equipment or do major remodeling. So that's one approach we're taking. But in the larger context of the Hyperion 2035 Operation Next, we're also looking at that will modernize the plant. And so we're going through these studies now and trying to look at how we can potentially fast track any kind of designs. But what that program will do in terms of bringing resiliency for water recycling to the city is, in addition to that, it would phase something like the giant clarifiers, which are the circular ponds that you see on site, which take about 2 million gallons each, and we replenish those 3 times a day, and there are 36 of those. So all that will be gone, and those were one of the areas where sludge was being stored that created the odors. So the modernization, we're looking at things, how we're going to be able to implement those changes. We know we have to make changes in terms of equipment placement, a lot of circuitry that got drowned in. So as we work towards the redesign right now that we are doing towards water recycling, we're going to incorporate those. In addition to that, we have equalization basins that we're going to build as part of that water recycling, conversion. And those equalization basins will also serve as additional storage basins on site. So we see a nexus, and we see great opportunities to be able to modify the plant and make those changes going forward using the lessons that we've learned now. And those will inform the designs that we have in the future, also to make sure that in the future, any new projects that are coming online are also built with a resilient nature to them.
Thank you. And also, even though it's clearly not the major cause of this problem, the fact that construction debris was even caught in Hyperion's filters sort of begs the question, do we know if people are actually somehow intentionally dumping construction debris into the sewers?
Tracy?
Well, at this point with our initial assessment, we haven't found any indication of that. It's not easy to dump construction debris into the sewer. That would most likely require lifting 300-pound maintenance holes in order to dump materials. So we do keep an eye out for that, and that's part of what we're looking at when we're actually going out and doing visual inspections to see if there's any indication of access through our maintenance holes.
So if it's not intentionally being dumped, how does it get down there?
Challenge, that's a challenge. Any other, I personally don't have any other ideas as to how it gets down there. Small portions work their way into the system, could be through our storm drain connection points for low flow diversions as a very minute possibility.
Yeah, it sounds like the items are large enough not to be accidental, so I'm more than suspicious and wondering if we should be doing anything more active to educate the public about the danger and the cost to the city if such a thing occurs, and possibly even offer rewards for people that have witnessed such things and can provide us with information.
Good suggestion, thank you.
We'll look into that.
Thank you.
Mr. Krikorian?
Thank you, Madam President, and thank you, Mr. O'Farrell, for bringing this presentation to the full council so that the entire public can hear this detailed report about what happened during this incident at Hyperion. Needless to say, this is a incident of grave public concern, very serious environmental catastrophe. But I think it's important that we also put it into a context. Hyperion is one of the largest wastewater facilities on planet Earth. And 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, without ever stopping, it processes the wastewater and sewage of 4.7 million people. And so when there's even the slightest glitch at that plant, it's going to have a noticeable impact. But this could have been so much worse had it not been for the heroism, and I don't use that term lightly, the heroism of our public employees, our wastewater employees, the other personnel at Bureau of Sanitation, who went in there and stopped this from becoming a much bigger catastrophe than it in fact was. And Mr. Bonin mentioned, you know, the overwhelming odors even at his home miles away from the plant. So I want you to pause for a moment and think about what our employees endured having to go into that plant in that circumstance with that immense overflow and trying to make that plant work in a way that wouldn't cause sewers around the city of Los Angeles and beyond to back up, sewer mains to burst, and other kinds of situations that would have been a catastrophe for our entire city. So, Ms. Romero, it's a heck of a first week on the job, or first 10 days or so on the job. But I do want to just express to you, and through you to every one of the public employees, public servants who work in that plant, who saved us from that catastrophe. I hope that you'll take to them the immense appreciation that we have for what they were able to do. And I want to follow up a little bit on Mr. Koretz's point too about cause, because it's premature to speculate why there was a sudden and dramatic increase in non-biodegradable solids hitting those screens all at once. We'll find that out in the course of this report, I hope. I hope we will determine what the causes of that will be. And I would just urge you to be very explicit in reporting that back to this council. And I would urge you not to pull any punches about what caused that incident and what risks we have for future incidents because of what can only be irresponsible, antisocial behavior by a small percentage of our population that illegally dumps items, that dumps litter into the streets, which reaches our stormwater, some of which is going to reach into the wastewater system. The flushing of things that are non-flushable, these are the sorts of things that contribute to the failure, even albeit temporary failure, of a multi-billion-dollar piece of life-saving infrastructure that is vital to the public health of Southern California. So I think it's extremely important that this council identify exactly what the cause of this incident was, and that we take the steps necessary, not just to educate people, but to hold people accountable for that kind of conduct that causes the rest of the people of Southern California to suffer and that causes our environment to suffer. And then lastly, there's been a lot of discussion about the reporting relating to this and notification to the public and so on. I think we kind of glossed over it quickly in the presentation, but I want to note that our sanitation employees reported this incident to state regulators within 1 hour, while they were risking their lives, while they were trying to stop this catastrophe from getting worse, while they were trying to ensure that they could get a handle on this vital emergency situation, within 1 hour, this was reported to state regulators. And so, again, I think that we need to recognize the things that went right about this, and we need to recognize the work of our employees in keeping the rest of the public safe. And so, with that, Madam President, thank you. Ms. Romero, thank you.
Mr. Price?
Thank you, Madam President. Let me just say, first of all, thank Mr. O'Farrell for bringing this report to us this morning. And I also want to thank members Bonin, Kretz, and Krikorian for your comments to help kind of illuminate the situation. I don't have any questions, but more of a statement. I'm certainly glad that the millions of gallons of sewage that were discharged into the beach were finally mitigated. It certainly impacted hundreds and thousands of individuals. And it's important to note that while the problems occurred, it looks like it was about a week later, LA Sand was able to step up to the plate and provide some housing, air conditioning, vouchers, air conditioning equipment, and other areas to repair. In contrast, June 30th, when the detonation occurred on 27th and San Pedro in my district, again, that impacted dozens and dozens of families and businesses. The city's response was a little sluggish. Members, it was a little sluggish. And that prompted my office to create $1 million emergency fund to provide housing, to provide repairs, and in fact to provide some cash to those victims. I say that to say, members, is that I think both of these incidents raises questions as to how the departments compensate our victims, whether it's an equitable kind of a framework, it's a predictable framework, it's a understandable framework. I think we need some consistency that we just don't have. And so I'm certainly willing to work with my colleagues. I know Mr. Bonin has been very interested and concerned about this topic about equity in terms of compensation for city-caused events. And I think it certainly is worthwhile taking a look at now. Again, this disaster could have been a lot worse than it was. I'm glad it wasn't. Quite similar to the events that took place in my district could have been worse. That it wasn't. But we still need to be in a position to assist, to compensate, to come to the aid of our citizens in their greatest time of need. And we can set an example by doing that in a fair, equitable way across the board, whenever these incidences occur. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Price, and very well said, sir. After the year we've had, it's very apparent that sometimes we tend to treat other parts of the city very different than others. Thank you, Mr. Price. With that, Mr. O'Farrell, would you like to close, sir, before we move on?
Just very quickly, Madam President, it's been a very good conversation and report. Thank you, Sanitation. So, yes, let's approve this, and we'll include Mr. Bonin's suggestions regarding the precise mitigation steps taken, the air quality steps taken in the immediate aftermath, and the Heal the Bay suggestions, PCR type testing for water quality, which is a much quicker read of the water quality, and then a report on the sewage plume. And then to Mr. Krikorian's point, pull no punches. We want to clearly know where the deficiencies are, if they exist, what is blocking these screens on a regular basis, and let us be informed by that so we can then craft legislation and or going to get resources to make sure that this doesn't happen again. So let us partner with you on finding solutions. once your investigation is complete. And again, pull no punches. Let us know exactly what you feel caused this so we can move forward. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. O'Farrell. Let's go ahead and prepare to vote on this item, Madam Clerk. Open the roll. Close the roll and tabulate the vote.
Bye-bye.
Okay, let's go ahead and move on to item 37, call special by Mr. Kokorian.
Thank you very much, Madam President. I wanted to call this item special because the proposal that's before us is to support AB 339 if amended. And I think we need to have a discussion about it because as often happens in Sacramento, a place where legislators never take public comment other than a few words, I support or I oppose, a place that has exempted itself from the Brown Act. We often see bills that attempt to mandate procedures on the part of local government purportedly to increase public access. And this is one of those well-intentioned bills that is so full of flaws that I don't see how we can take a position of support even if it is amended. And I just want to talk about a few of those. There are over 1,000 cities in the state of California. This bill applies to 15 of them. This bill applies to only half of the counties in the state of California. So if, and it specifically exempts the legislature itself and its bodies. So if we want to have a bill that promotes public access and promotes the ability to participate telephonically or by teleconferencing, shouldn't it include all of those bodies? Shouldn't it include all of the bodies that are already governed by the Brown Act? School boards and special, other kinds of special bodies of government. But this bill does not do that. This bill would impose technological mandates on the city of Los Angeles and not reimburse us for one dime of the costs of those mandates. So what we're being told to do by Sacramento is something that we're just going to have to figure out a way to pay for by spending less on other services that our constituents count on us for. And then lastly, I would say we have the ability to do this if we choose to do it. If the members of this council decide that we want to continue to do teleconferencing, or we want to have people participating by phone, or we want to do any of those other things under the sort of rules and terms that work for this council, we could do that without being told that we must do that by Sacramento. And I would submit that when we are told that we must do it by Sacramento, it in fact interferes with our ability to do what's right for the people of Los Angeles. So, members, I would just contend that if you believe that the legislature should live by its own mandates, you should oppose this bill. If you believe that the state should reimburse local government for the costs that it mandates on our taxpayers, then you should oppose this bill. If you think that open access requirements should apply to all local governments and not just a select few, then you should oppose this bill. If you think that LA residents who come here and sit here in council chambers, who organize to come down here and talk to us, if you believe that they should be given priority to comment over somebody in Kansas or Europe or someplace, who knows where in the world who can reach us by teleconferencing, then you should oppose this bill. If you think that we should be able to develop and refine according to circumstances and needs our own procedures to ensure the greatest degree of public access, then you should oppose this bill. If you think that council meetings should not be canceled every time the internet goes down or there's a technological breakdown in City Hall and that we stop our business because of that, then you should oppose this bill. And if you think, and this is really important, I think, for many of us, if you think that we should have an ability to control the sort of disruptive conduct that we are subjected to every single meeting by a select few, a handful of people in this city who continue to disrupt, who continue to offend the public, who continue to offend our own employees, to the point that we actually have to exclude them from meetings because of their disruptiveness. If you think that we should be able to do that, then you should oppose this bill. Because right now, we don't have the ability to control that situation with the sort of situation that we're facing now. So we can do this if it's the sentiment of this body that you want to continue some form of teleconferencing even after this emergency situation is over, so be it. We can do that. But you don't need to support a Sacramento unfunded mandate in order to do that. So I would ask that we change our position on the proposed position, not to support if amended, but rather to oppose. And for those of you who don't know, support if amended in the legislature really just means it's going to be seen as being support. Because nobody in the legislature is ever going to read our proposed amendments. They're not going to consider, what our objections are. They're just going to see our city's name on a list of supporters, and then parenthetically it will say if amended. If we do that, out of the over 1,000 cities in California, right now there's only one that's supporting this bill. Out of over 1,000 cities, only Rancho Palos Verdes, which is itself exempt from the provisions of this bill, is supporting it. But the League of California Cities, the Association of Counties, the Association of School Boards, the Association of Hospital Boards, all oppose this bill because it just doesn't make any sense to have these sorts of micromanaging mandates from Sacramento when we can do this ourselves if we so choose. So I ask, and I would move, that we actually change the recommendation and we take a position of opposing this AB 339.
Okay, who seconded? Mr. Blumenfield? Mr. Willie Thomas?
Madam President, I rise to support that which Mr. Krikorian has just ably articulated and Mr. Blumenfield has seconded. Bad bill, bad outcomes, adverse impacts on governance at the local level. A good number of us around this horseshoe have spent time in Sacramento, and so we know it when we see it. This is intrusive. It is insufficiently thought out. Good policy anticipates outcomes. The anticipated outcomes in this instance would be hugely problematic for us at an operational point, from an operational point of view, as well as from the perspective of what the fundamentals of good government should look like. We use the language of micromanaging. We use the language of meddling. We use the language of being overly prescriptive. We do that from the vantage point that we occupy as local legislators, policymakers, and implementers. It's a different vantage point when one sits in the context of Sacramento dealing with policies that don't necessarily get tested on the ground in the way in which we have to do this work. I salute the work, the hard work, the meaningful work that happens in that context, and I know that it's important. This, I would argue, is an exception and therefore should be rejected on its face. And so I stand to, again, support the motion made by Mr. Krikorian and seconded by Mr. Blumenfeld. Thank you.
Mr. Cedillo?
My colleagues for their eloquence and clarity of what the policy flaws are. I'll only add quite simply that it is unique perspective you have when you serve in Sacramento. You're like an architect, broad brushed. You see the world and you see it in its full scope. When you work for local government, which Mr. Lee has not, and I'm sure he has a bright future, he has an illustrious career as an intern and has won one election. I'm sure that the future is bright for him, but I will say this, and all of us who served in Sacramento know this.
I was just going to say, how many of you have served in Sacramento? You should have
All of
fixed
us-
it then. Fixed it then. Thank you.
And all of us of this,
7 of you have come directly from Sacramento. Go ahead, Mr. Cedillo. I apologize.
having been here, you learn something working in local government. And it's not that you are a big visionary and here to make big policy statements. You're here to solve problems. You are, in essence, a mechanic of public policy. And so you have to know the details. You have to know how things work. You have to learn how to get along. And then at the end of the day, you have to be responsible to your constituents in each and every neighborhood, each and every supermarket, and each and every garage. And so I lack the eloquence of my colleagues, but the certainty that their perspectives today are as on point as they were from Sacramento. This is not the time for Sacramento to be dictating the work of any of our districts or of this body. You, Madam President, are who we need to guide this body, not Alex Lee. I thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cedillo. Mr. Karat?
Thank you, Madam President. I just wanted to focus on the level of hypocrisy because I think this has been kind of missed. And as someone that's gone from local government to Sacramento and local government again, I was always shocked at the number of people that came from local government and then seemed to completely forget that they were ever there when they went to Sacramento. I think a lot of the public probably believes that on the floor of the state assembly that they hear thousands of hours each year of public testimony. But I want to make it clear, in the 6 years that I was in the state assembly, we did not hear 1 minute of public testimony. The only testimony on the floor of the state legislature is from legislators. So they don't have to do it. They just want to control how we do it. In committee, there was some testimony. It would be orchestrated on both sides of a contentious issue, and you'd be told by the chair you had 3 minutes, and you could select your 2 or 3 speakers, and they would each be assigned a certain amount of time. And that was it. And once in a while, as Mr. Krikorian said, they might allow representatives of special interest to say, I'm here from the California Medical Association and I support it, but no substantive testimony. And yet they want to micromanage exactly how we accept hours and hours of voluminous testimony in our committees and on the floor of our city council. And I think we handle it as best we can. We have gotten through the pandemic, and we have found ways to take testimony, and I don't believe we have any doubt about where the public stands through our current processes. I can't say that again for the state legislature because they don't really have a system that allows for that. So if we could, I would pass an ordinance regulating how they do things so they actually would take some public comment, not have them try to micromanage exactly how we do it here in the city of Los Angeles.
Mr. Pro Tem De Leon.
Thank you very much, Madam President. I always think it's a great thing when we have more input from our constituents, from our voters. The more, the better, I think. That being said, I think it's quite interesting that as a former alum from the August Senate body, that one of my lessons of local government is the Brown Act. And perhaps the absurdity of not being able to engage with all of our colleagues, or perhaps us having a caucus to sort of go in more detail as to why we should support this policy or that policy or oppose this policy. The very fact that, you know, oftentimes we come to this floor and we have no clue at all whatsoever what's going to be sprung at the last minute is, I find, highly unusual. Bizarre, not helpful at all, which makes, quite frankly, for very bad policy. And that's because there's a lack of communication, not for lack of desire among our colleagues around the horseshoe, but because this law, this act that predates many of us, I assume, that was enacted in our very own state legislature, where our own colleagues that predate us actually exempted themselves. So there is a deep paradox, there's an irony here that the vast majority of the cities in this assembly member's district are in fact exempted from the very law that he would purport to move forward and enact against the vast majority of cities in the state of California. So again, we all believe that more input from voters, listening to their thoughts, their opinions, their concerns, their fears, anxieties, their hopes and desires is a very good thing. However, that being said, again, the way it is being drafted, it's not ready for prime time. And many of us have heard that. Bob Blumenfield, Gil Cedillo, Curran Price, Mark Riley Thomas, you know, Paul Krikorian, Paul Koretz, you know, Warren Caucus. When a chair would say, this bill, you know, we appreciate the audacity, we appreciate the moxie, but quite frankly, it's not ready for prime time. It's not cooked. And this measure is simply not cooked at all whatsoever. One, you got the fiscal issues on the mandate, especially because we don't have capital gains. We're asking the state and the federal governments for resources. And then secondly, it's not really worked out exactly how this would happen. And then thirdly, again, the author of the measure exempts by the criteria of 250,000 and above in terms of populations of cities, the vast majority of all of his small cities within his own district. So I would add my name to my colleagues here and say, I don't know who moved this measure before us to support it as amended, but that being said, we should just oppose it, period, and send a very strong message as the largest city in the state of California. What's good for the goose is always good for the gander, and this is not good for the goose or the gander.
Mr. Bonnet?
Thanks, Madam President. Despite my contrarian tendencies, I will support Mr. Krikorian's amendment to oppose the bill. But because of my contrarian tendencies, I do need to say a couple things. One, I know Assemblyman Lee, and I have worked with Assemblyman Lee. And he has been a strong supporter of renter protections in Sacramento. He has been an advocate for the social housing that will bring some of the housing equity we support. And I do want to note that I used to hear somebody else get mocked for being a 25 or 26-year-old without a lot of experience. That person is now the junior senator for the state of California, Alex Padilla, who had a very thin resume and was very young when he was elected to this body. He became council president, state senate, secretary of state, and is now a U.S. senator. So I want to defend Alex because I know him. And
oh, that's because he's from Pacoima.
But I do want, we won't hold that against him. I do want to say something about the intent of this bill, though. I don't think this bill is the way to do it, but I do want to underscore the importance of the remote testimony. At LA Metro, where we've had remote testimony, I have heard from more bus riders and more passengers as a result of remote testimony than I ever did in all of those meetings where people had to come in the middle of a day from all corners of the county downtown. At the beginning of this pandemic, we heard really wrenching testimony from workers at the Chateau Marmont. We heard wrenching testimony from SEIU members. And we heard from not advocates for renters, we heard from actual renters who told us what their fears were. And that's a powerful tool that I hope that we continue. It has also parenthetically reduced the percentage of public comment that is occupied by sounds of barnyard animals and people who tend to dominate when they're the only ones in the room. We all know who we're talking about. So I hope that we do continue this, but I do agree it's a little ridiculous for Sacramento to be mandating us to do something that they don't do. So I will support the amendment.
Mr. Blumenfield?
Thank you. I too rise to oppose what's before us and support the Krikorian amendment. And also to say something similar to what Mr. Bonner said, I like the idea of having remote testimony. And that's the future. I mean, we're moving with, I want to get to a point where we have virtual testimony and we have folks being able to do that. That is a great democratizing thing. And I'm all for that. But we need to figure out how to do it and do it in the right way so that we can be equitable about the folks who, because once you open it up, you're going to have a lot of folks, and we want to make sure that we create an equitable portal so that we can really hear from the folks that you referenced, Mr. Bonin, and the people of Los Angeles, not just advocates who come in. So I'm all for that, but this bill is not the way to do it, and it's not right to remove local control the way this bill is going to do it. If we're going to open up the Brown Act, and I have advocated for opening up the Brown Act for quite a while, we all know there's some things that we need to do with regard to that. For one thing, we need to deal with a better way to deal with hate speech and rules of decorum, and to be able to build that into the Brown Act so that cities can have testimony from people who really are caring about the issues and not get mired in this hate speech, creating a hostile environment for not just us, but for all the people who work here and for the people who visit. And also the issue that Mr. De Leon raised in terms of being able to work with each other on policy issues and not being subject to the very strict prohibitions of the Brown Act, where if we're on a committee with 3 people, we cannot talk to anyone on that committee outside of that committee about those issues. There's got to be a middle ground. The Brown Act has been around for a while. There's ways to amend the Brown Act to make it better for policy making, to make it better for democracy. This amendment is not, this proposal by Assemblymember Lee is not the way, and I join my colleagues in opposing the proposal that's before us. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Blumenfield. Let's go ahead and prepare to vote, members. We're going to vote on a motion to amend item 37 introduced by Mr. Krikorian and seconded by Mr. Blumenfield. Please open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Okay, let's go ahead and vote on the item as amended. Let's open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Okay, members, I'm sorry, Madam Clerk, what is before us now?
Council has motions for posting and referral. Motions will be posted on the City Clerk's website shortly after the meeting for the public's viewing. To subscribe to receive copies of today's council motions to your email, please visit clerk.lacity.org.
Okay, those are posted and referred. Are there any announcements, members? Mr. De Leon, do you have an announcement?
Just very quickly, Madam President, I want to request that we send item number 12 forthwith.
Okay.
Thank you.
All items have gone forthwith on
Thank
this
you
agenda.
much.
Any announcements, members? Okay, seeing none, if we all rise for adjourning motions. Any adjourning motions to my right? Mr. Kokorian.
Thank you very much, Madam President. Members, I know some of you know what
Can we please pause the video? Thank you. Mr. Kokorian.
I was going to say, members, I know many of you know what the duduk is. For those of you who don't, the duduk is an integral part of Armenian culture. It's a woodwind instrument made of apricot wood, and the world's master of the duduk was Jivan Gasparian, who we lost on July 6th, 2021. And I'd ask that the council adjourn in Mr. Gasparian's memory. He was a master of this instrument, and even if you don't know what a duduk is, you've heard it. You've heard it when Mr. Gasparian played it on movie soundtracks like for Dead Man Walking, for Gladiator, for Syriana, Blood Diamond, Ronin, and in the concert for Nelson Mandela. He was known throughout the world as an ambassador of Armenian music and Armenian culture, and he often found ways to integrate the duduk and Armenian music with other types of music. He performed with the Kronos Quartet, with the Los Angeles Philharmonic, and with others. He's certainly been a source of great pride for the Armenian community, and he will leave behind a long legacy because of his cultural contributions to world music. Among other family and friends who survive him, his grandson, Jivan Gasparian Jr., is preserving his grandfather's legacy and becoming a master of the duduk in his own right as he continues to perform. So I thank you, members. I ask that we adjourn this meeting in memory of Jivan Gasparian.
Thank you, Mr. Kokorian. Any other adjourning motions to my right? Mr. Blumenfield.
Thank you, colleagues. I rise to adjourn in the memory of Michelle Avan. Ms. Avan was a well-respected resident of Reseda in my district. She was a bank executive, and she was murdered in her home on Thursday, August 5th. The following day, a suspect was in custody. Authorities say a family member discovered Michelle, but she had succumbed to a painful struggle. Homicide detectives said she suffered from severe trauma to her face. Authorities said the suspect had a personal relationship with Michelle, and she had recently considered obtaining a restraining order against him. She was a senior vice president with Bank of America, working to recruit women and underrepresented folks globally. She was profiled by Essence magazine in 2017. She was a mother of 2 and a grandmother of 1. Danny Bakewell Sr., the executive publisher of the Los Angeles Sentinel, called her death not only just devastating, but he went on to say that Michelle was a dear friend and a dedicated warrior for our community and a dear friend to me and my entire family. This is another tragic reminder of domestic violence that occurs in our city and many times under the radar. With all we work on to make the lives of our residents better, we must never let people like Michelle Avan die in vain. We must continue to help end domestic violence so not another person dies at the hand of an abuser. So I say, if you know someone who is a victim of domestic violence or who might be, please call the Domestic Violence Hotline at 800-799-SAFE or the Los Angeles County Domestic Violence Hotline, 800-978-3600, or go to the LAPD Domestic Violence Task Force online at lapdonline.org. May Michelle Avan rest in peace.
Mr. Blumenfield, if I can please be added to that adjourning motion. She was an extraordinary woman. Mr. Harris Dawson as well. Mr. Ridley Thomas.
Yes, I had to leave on Friday, but I wanted to note the passing of Richard L. Trumka. He was the head of the AFL-CIO, 12.5 million members. I met Mr. Trumka in the early 90s when I was a young union leader myself. He was an extraordinary leader. At the age of 33, he took over the United Mine Workers He was a mine worker. His father was a mine worker. His grandfather was a mine worker. He was also an attorney, educated, learned, and brought those skills with John Sweeney and Linda Chavez, and they became part of the leadership of the AFL-CIO. I think it was 2010, he took over, 29, he took over as the president as Mr. Sweeney left. He was a fierce advocate for working men and women, open to new ideas, willing to exert the power of working men and women on the political process, open to all the new ideas and innovations, and an uncompromising champion for working men and women. He saw the world globally, but knew that what mattered most was the kitchen table and taking care of men and women. And he died of a heart attack, a young man, and he will be sorely missed, and his leadership will be missed both in every household and through the halls of power throughout the entirety of this nation and the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cedillo. Any other adjourning motions, members? Seeing none, our meeting is adjourned.